the roll.
Recording in
Order
progress.
in all public comment or ensuing discussion. Do you have any public comment? Yeah, nobody's raised their hands. Okay. Okay, do we have any liaison reports from, I don't see any town
No liaisons
here. Okay. Any committee updates?
Do you mean by committee? Oh, well, the audit committee, but that's, we're going to get to that. Audit subcommittee.
Okay, were we expecting anything in committee updates?
I have that on there just in case Ray has anything to update from MLCA.
Oh, yeah. So, well, if that's what that means, okay. So the Massachusetts Light Commissioners Association hasn't done anything in the last month. We will be doing a meet and greet at NEPA and a chance to kind of meet other people, the commissioners and the leadership of the MLCA. Kind of a way of introducing what programming we have coming up for the end of the year, and just meet some other commissioners who are doing things similar to us and share notes and thoughts. So that'll be evident when we get up to NEPA. But other than that, not much more is happening. The schools for Reading are now, the Killam School is getting into design. The sustainability committee has moved out of public comment mode into actually modeling energy and doing design, making design decisions, and sort of narrowed the scope of involvement. I'm hoping RMLD is still plugged into that. Are you still plugged into the Killam School, Megan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Again.
All right. Yeah, they seem to be narrowing their input from us a little bit. It certainly, I was told thank you, but no thank you. But I said, got to keep RMLD plugged in. I mean, if you want me, fine, but there's a lot of things we could do there. So
I met with Matt last week as well.
Okay, did you?
Yeah,
okay.
I told him we'd support him whatever he wants. And,
Yeah.
I mean, it's they want it. It looks like they'll be ownership of the solar. But whatever way we need to support them.
Yeah, they're going to do ownership of the solar they put on the roof of the building. If we want to expand that into a solar park and do more with the other land area there, that will be something we'd like to have a conversation. That would probably be RMLD's investment, but that's a conversation down the road there.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
We're not talking to some at the same time. It's
Yeah.
not our call, so.
Yeah. All right. So, yeah, that's about it. As far as the senior center recal, I don't, they're on their own timeline. And I'm not sure how they're progressing, except that they got approval by the town to do something, but I don't know what their design team is doing. And I think that's the three things I'm usually plugged into.
Okay, so let's move on to presentation of the 2024 financial audit finding.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Scott McIntyre. I am a managing director, which is just another word for a partner at CBiz CPAs. With me is Ed Boyd, a senior manager, represent the leadership team on the audit of RMLD this year. Just a real quick note, at 5:30 tonight, we met with the audit subcommittee and the Town of Reading Audit Committee, walked through the audit and the financial statements for about 45 minutes. I had some great questions, question and answers. Every time Ed and I come to Reading, we can always count on there's being some good detailed questions. We actually like that when people ask good questions about them. This evening, we're going to go in a little bit, briefer manner. The committee still wants to ask us detailed questions. Be happy to answer them. But by design, this is designed to be a little bit of an overview of what was gone through in detail at 5:30. Before I, say anything else, though, it's sort of my third year here as the partner, and 3 years ago I was here with what I'll call my legacy firm of Melanson. I was here a year ago. I think it was in May of 24. I indicated that Melanson had merged with Markham LLP because no one goes into public accounting anymore, and we needed resources and technology. Well, little did I know 18 months later that CBiz, a publicly traded corporation, would buy Markham. So inside the last 2.5 years, I've now had 3 business cards over the course of my 38 years of public accounting. I had one for 35 years. So, but with that said, I can certainly answer any questions on the name changes. But by and large, I've been involved in this audit for many years. I did bring Ed into it this year. He's done work in the town of Reading before, but I brought him into RMLD's audit. As I said to the committee earlier, we were originally scheduled to be here back in May, then again in June. We needed to defer it or delay it a little bit. As you know, our professional auditing standards require that when there is turnover in key positions during the audit process, we need to do some inquiry. We need to do some test work, and that's why we were not able to be here in May, and we just weren't done dotting our I's and crossing our T's in June as well. But happy to be here tonight. The results of the audit are very good. Ed's going to walk through the balance sheet, the income statement, and the cash flow statement. But in essence, after all the test work that we did and the standards that we followed, and we were required to follow both generally accepted auditing standards here in the United States, as well as generally accepted government auditing standards. After following all of those standards, happy to be able to report to the committee that we did not need to propose any audit adjustments for your statements to be in conformity with generally accepted accounting principles. So that leads to, for those that might want to follow along, it's print page 1. I'm not sure what page it is in the packet. I'm sure Aaron or Erica can bail me out there. Our audit opinion is what is known as an unmodified. There are no modifications to our opinion. In other words, it means that in our opinion, your financial statements are materially fairly presented in accordance with generally accepted accounting principle. Again, it goes on for several pages, talks about the standards that we followed. With that, we're going to skip all the way over to your statement of net position, which Ed's going to tell me in a minute what print page it is.
Print page 8.
Print page 8, and I'm going to let Ed take it away and walk through a couple of key accounts on this page, 1 or 2 on your statement of revenues and expenditures, and maybe just a quick word on the statement of cash flows. Then we'll open it up to any questions that the committee may have. So.
Packet page 16.
Thank you, Scott. As Scott mentioned, I'm going to go over a couple of the elements of the financial statements. First statement that we're going to look at is called your statement of net position, or what is commonly looks like a balance sheet. So that's going to be on page 8 and 9. That is broken up and really just for ease of presentation, as over the years this is kind of expanded with accounting principles, and just for clarity purposes, that's the way it's presented. But really, in short, I think on the asset side, you would be looked at as in a favorable and strong position. And then over on the liability side, and we'll get to that in a minute, particularly your long-term liabilities, I think really the theme would be managing them appropriately and proactively. So looking at really your assets, largely you had a positive overall change in cash position. Now that's going to be a little bit more apparent when we look at your statement of cash flows, but something I just wanted to point out, and we talked about it with the audit committee earlier, is the first number that you look at on page 8, you see that cash went down, and I think that just was going to raise the question, well, what happened? But I think when you look at the overall components of where the money came from and where did it go, your overall position went well when factoring in your investment in capital assets, prepaying of certain things, and some year-end timing issues. That's going to be looked at as your decrease, not necessarily a deterioration, if you will, which I think is important to understand, is that overall your cash position went up, but just looking at year-end and factoring in some of those differences, that was really the driver there. So over on to page 9, I had mentioned your long-term liabilities, and you've probably heard to almost nauseum at this point, particularly at these types of meetings, your discussion over your net pension liability and your net OPEB liability. And OPEB means your other post-employment benefits, particularly retiree healthcare. Now, if we were to go back 5, 6, 7 years, you would see that these numbers were probably significantly larger than they were now. So what they represent is, in net pension liabilities case, it's your applicable portion of the Reading contributory retirement system overall net pension liability. So you're about a 27% member, and that's recognizing your applicable portion there.
Can you just speak up, please, a little bit? Can't hear you.
Sure thing.
Thank you.
Is this a little better?
Much better.
Okay. So as you can see on the net pension liability in the comparative statements here, going from all the way to the far right, which is 2023, to the left is 2024, your net pension liability went down a little over $2 million. This is largely driven by favorable investments or investment activity during calendar year 2024, but also even in years prior to that. It's something that is determined on an actuarial valuation every other year. In fact, it factors in aspects like investment return, the overall census, different metrics such as retiree ages, mortality, things like that, an actuarial determined liability. And again, I think in looking at net pension and OPEB, the key phrase that I like to use is just being proactive in addressing these liabilities. As it relates to net pension liability, the amortization period for that liability to essentially go down to zero is 8 years from today. So again, in 8 years from now, kind of everything else being equal, the hope is that's going to be zero. Now, similarly, on the net OPEB liability side, now that's related to primarily retiree healthcare. That went up a little bit over the prior year, $4.6 million compared to 5.7. But similar to pension, RMLD has set up an OPEB trust many years ago, one of probably the early adopters of really actually setting aside funds and trying to address these future costs. You're seeing the fruits of that now, where you've been consistently contributing to that, and those assets that are dedicated for your OPEB purposes are used to essentially offset the overall liability. And similar to pension, in OPEB's case, it's about 15 years as far as amortization goes. That liability is going to be down to zero. So why I want to bring that up is because I think it's really important when you're looking at these liabilities. This is not just an RMLD related item. Anyone that's issuing financial statements or any local government that's issuing financial statements in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles is dealing with these long-term liabilities. So I think certainly on a local level, and there's been certainly more discussion at the Commonwealth level and nationally, there's been a lot more attention, and RMLD has been very, very proactive. And I think in looking at these long-term liabilities, making sure that you're addressing them and to not really have this become something that's going to impact the bottom line and overall year-over-year budget. Yep.
Ask a question on that. So what are the assumptions that go into your statement around the 8 years or the 15 years? Is there a certain amount of growth for, the employee base? Is there a certain, interest rate or return on investments? What are those assumptions?
Great question. And those are actually disclosed in the footnotes. We can certainly look at a few of them, but to that point, no, great question. But it is there if you do want to look at it, where it will give you the mortality tables that are being utilized. It will give you the discount rate, your payroll growth, things like that really are the key inputs.
And those are things that the management of the organization from a growth or returns perspective provided.
Yep, in conjunction with the actuary, yeah.
Okay.
Probably more discretion on the OPEB side, whereas it's the contributory retirement system other folks outside of RMLD will have some input on. But regardless, it's folks associated with the town evaluating those key metrics, and not only how realistic they are, but how aligned they are with also other local governments that are reporting, particularly in Massachusetts.
Without the disclosures for pension and OPEB, I think this report would be about 2/3 as thick as it is. The disclosures are robust. I think you're hearing personal opinion. I think they could be scaled back. There's so much information in there.
And is that a town?
No, that's a gap. Generally accepted
Gap,
accounting
okay.
principles require it. And it's a bit overwhelming. Ed and I deal with it every day, and there's just so much information in there. I don't know that I always question how meaningful it is, but it's required, so that's why it's in there.
Any other questions on the balance sheet? We'll just go to the next page, which is the statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in that position. This is really your comparative income statement. And we're going to go about halfway down, and you're going to see your operating income. For 2024, it was about $13.8 million compared to about 15.2 over the prior year. Looking just above that, you can see your operating revenues grew by about $5 million. And then on the operating expense side, there was also a similar increase on the expense side, and both years leading to positive operating income to the tune of 13.8 and $15.2 million. Moving down into your non-operating revenue, really getting into more of the kind of the smaller aspects of the finances as it relates to investment income, some other revenues, and then your return of investment back to the town of $2.5 million, which is pretty consistent, ultimately leading to a very favorable and positive change of $13.1 million. Now, I had mentioned earlier that with GAAP and looking at the balance sheet in the income statement, sometimes it might be hard to really kind of see how we did. And I think the cash flow statement is always the best place to go to in evaluating, how the year went, when you're seeing what inflows came in and what outflows came out. So that's on page 11. And really what we want to see in looking at the cash flow statements when we're taking a look at it is the net cash provided by operating activities, which is going to be that first section. And we typically like to look at whether or not that the cash provided by the operating activities at a minimum is covering your debt service and making essentially generating enough cash to pay that off. But in RMLD's case, that's not an issue here. So not only are you generating that cash from operating activities, you really don't have the need to see that going out for borrowed funds, both principal and interest. And just moving further down, you can see that while I had talked about cash going down earlier, I think what this really provides a nice snapshot of is, well, 13.5 is significant investment in your capital assets. So you have money that's coming back into assets that you can utilize and deploy to your customer base, if you will. Then third number up from the bottom, also very important, is overall, what is our change in net cash? And you can see that for 2024, it was just under $1 million at about $950,000. So it's a little bit different than looking at the balance sheet and the income statement, but I think this is a really nice snapshot into kind of letting the reader know and the user know where your cash went. I'll pause there. Any questions in particular on this statement?
There is a raised hand. Sam, you have it, Sam.
Okay. Go ahead.
Hold on.
Hi, this is Karen Herrick, Reading Select Board. Thank you. Just a quick question. We were looking at finances over at the town, our last select board meeting, and we did notice that the contribution to the town of Reading has decreased a bit. And the formula was designed to have that fixed portion and then a variable portion that should increase when kilowatt sales increase. And it was just a minor decrease, but it is the first decrease we've ever seen. And I was just wondering if we could get some clarification on why there was a decrease.
We had a fairly robust conversation about it at the 5:30 meeting, and I may defer to members of RMLD I know it's based on kilowatt sales, as was mentioned in the question, but those who may have a deeper pulse than Ed and I on kilowatt sales, to address that.
Yeah, Karen, Ray Porter, Chair of the Board of Commissioners Audit Subcommittee, I was part of the discussion in the previous hour. The formula was, there was a lot of discussion in years past about the formula, and the formula has been adjusted so that the contribution is based on the amount of energy sales that RMLD has. That we thought that that was a better long-term metric for providing contribution to the contributing cities and that we service. For lots of reasons, from year to year, kilowatt sales will go up and down. That's why that number actually is a 3-year average. So we roll that average every 3 years and base the contribution on that rolling average. So the difference is very small. I mean, I guess $50,000 sounds like a lot of money relative to nearly 2 million, but it's very similar. The numbers were fairly flat, and therefore the contributions were flat also. RMLD's contribution to the contributing cities is among the highest in RML in light departments. So we're still, I think, returning good value to the communities.
Thank you. So I was just under the general impression, having attended a number of your meetings, that kilowatt sales have been steadily increasing year over year. So that's where I'm confused. And
Yeah.
I can dig into this a little bit offline, because
Yes.
unless you guys tell me, oh, we had a down year. So that's why that formula should always be trending up, at least the way the economics have been working.
Long term, that number should grow faster than the rate of inflation, which is, again, why we use that metric. But kilowatt sales is based on a lot of things: weather, town growth, conversion of cars and heat pumps, and that number is averaged over a 3-year period. So it is, yeah, there's a lot that goes into it. To tell you exactly why that number came out the way it did would require digging into it a little bit. But long term, we would be expecting increases in net kilowatt sales, and therefore the contributions should be generally increasing faster than the rate of inflation. It just didn't come out that way this year.
Because of the rolling average?
In part the rolling average, but weather will play a big deal in kilowatt sales. I mean, if you have a warm winter, then you're not going to turn up the heat. If you have a cool summer, you're not going to turn on the AC. So it can vary.
Okay, so I just need to go back to the kilowatt sales for the last 3 or 4 years, and those will cover the 3-year average, because I was just kind of surprised. Everybody's been using more electricity, and I have not heard of y'all having a down year for kilowatt sales, even with the weather changes. But I can miss things. So I guess that's what I'd like to do, because that formula is not that complicated, and the driving factor is kilowatt sales, and historically it's been going up. So that's where the surprise is.
And that's the expected trend, Karen.
Yeah. Okay. I will go on your website and track down kilowatt sales. Thank you.
Off and you have a cold year in the middle, right? It's going to go down.
And it's a negligible number. I mean, I would,
$3,000.
it's $3,000, and literally on that proportionally, it's a tiny number.
Well, it's not. Yeah, it's not a big difference,
It's insignificant.
except that you're
The
expecting.
trend, she's concerned about the trend.
Yeah, that you're expecting 5 or 6% growth, and it's the same. So, just the numbers sometimes work that way.
Could I go back to the pension liability just for a second?
Sure.
And just so I'm the newest person on the board, so apologies if these are, questions just of basic understanding here. But you mentioned that that you expect the trend towards 0 for 8 years and then 15 years for the OPB. I'm assuming that means that RMLD is paying into a pension account that eventually will balance out so that this liability can be zero, and instead that account, that particular pension account, is covering all those expenditures moving forward, and that the actuarials say that those expenses are covered by that particular account. Is there an offsetting deposit into that account somewhere that, or is that buried into one of these lines that is increasing that account regularly?
Great question, an interesting one. Reading RMLD is a department of the town of Reading. You have what we're looking at here. I'm pointing to the screen, and you have on your iPads are what we call standalone departmental financial statements. In a similar way, it's slightly different, but the Reading Contributory Retirement System issues standalone financial statements. So the outflow of dollars when you, Reading Municipal Light Plant, make your contribution, that's an actuarially determined contribution. That's an expense on your books and a revenue on the retirement system books.
Mm-hmm.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. In other words, there's they're paying into the. I guess I'm wondering where the payment into the pension plan is happening, so that the so that the pension accounts are taking over that. I understand it's not a liability technically from their perspective, but this particular liability.
It would be.
It's just not
I think it would be in your operating expenses.
Right.
And it would be a part of salary and benefits, I
Yes, it
assume,
would.
right? So, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And so do those, so those payments are made by the individuals, in a sense, as part of their salary package.
Mhm.
That's coming out, and that is in the in the operating expenses on the income statement.
That
Yes,
is
sir.
correct.
Right? Okay.
And then to what Scott was referring earlier, the retirement system issues its standalone financial statements, but if you were to look at the town's financial statements, both RMLD and the retirement system are presented there. And if you were to look at the retirement system, you would see member contributions, which would be RMLD, and then also employee contributions that are broken out separately. So that's where those inflows are going. It's just not a part of this particular document.
So why the liability for RMLD? How does that come into being?
Because the retirement system, has very few employees, right? The liability is amounts of money that are ultimately owed to the employees of the town and the various departments of the town. So the retirement system doesn't have the pension liability. It has the assets.
Mm-hmm.
The plan is required to, under generally accepted accounting principles, to calculate what its total pension liability is based on the demographics of the workforce and retiree base here at RMLD, as well as the town. I'll say the school department as well. Teachers are part of a different plan, but there are members at the school department that are part of the town of Reading Contributory Retirement System. So the concept under GAAP, or generally accepted accounting principle, is the retirement system doesn't have the liability. It's the contributing members that have the liability and need to carry that liability.
All the enterprise accounts.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
As
Okay.
well as, I don't want to say the general fund, but the town operations, other than its enterprise funds, also carries a long-term liability.
So this could also fluctuate significantly just based on market outlook, depending on what's happening with the pension itself, right? This could go up and down.
Absolutely.
Apart from contributions or whatever.
In the column on the right of this page that's up on the screen, the net pension liability, as Ed pointed out earlier, $14.2 million at the end of 12/31/24. Year before was 16.5.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to overcomplicate this, but the liability is measured 12 months prior to your balance sheet date. It's permissible And in order to get everything done, the actuary's got to get its work done and the auditor's got to get its work done. It's permissible. So your liability at 12/31/23 was based on market returns from calendar 22, which I know at this point it's several years ago, but market returns in 22 were not good. That's why the liability was up last year, and 23 returns were much better. So that's brought the liability down.
Got it. Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's helpful for a big liability number.
I probably should have added everything else remaining equal, meaning to what you're saying is that the actuarial assumption is close to reality. But yes, factoring in some differences, it could shorten or it could elongate that period.
Yeah, that's great. Okay.
Any other questions? I don't know if we had actually jumped over. The only other thing I wanted to point out was just on pages 13 and 14, this is just where your OPEB assets and the activity reside, just to show you that really that this is segregated from operating, and that it again is separately called out but restricted for OPEB purposes. That was very, very high level, just really looking at some key accounts. Happy to take any other questions.
Yeah, so I have a comment for Karen. So Karen, if you look at the previous page where it shows the voluntary payments to towns, this year it was up by 65,000, okay? And Reading gets about a fourth of that. So that more than that at least corrects for, any reduction on the other side.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm not sure I have access to this document. It wasn't emailed with this. I don't know that's posted anywhere.
So all I'm saying is if I just look at the numbers, so at least I think if you look at the net contribution from RMLD to Reading, the town of Reading, based on these numbers, it should be higher than last year. Okay.
Yeah, we'll check it out. I'm looking at your annual statements. 2022 kilowatt sales were down. So that could be affecting the average, but I'm going to keep looking. Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right. So now I have a question for Scott and then for Ed. So Scott, thanks for clarifying the combination business.
The name changes?
Yes.
The
reason I'm asking this question is that last year when Markham took over Allenson, the audit got delayed. Our audit got delayed, and it happened with other organizations also. So I know Markham was late on audits for a lot of companies, especially smaller companies. I don't know how it was for large companies. My personal experience has been with Markham last year was slow on audits. Okay.
Slow on what?
On audits.
Okay.
On completing audits. And this year again, we got delayed. And you explained that this delay this year was because of the change in the general management. But it was already delayed a little bit coming to us this year because it was scheduled, delayed. Okay. I'm asking this question to plan for next year. So going forward, I just want to know what you think we can expect. I know you can't promise anything, but what should we be doing? And just from a planning perspective, so if we know that you guys are going to take time, we'll just plan for a longer time. So it's just good for us to know. Sure.
I think I can offer a response to that. I think we were on track to be here in May. We started the audit at the very end of March, I believe. And it went through several weeks in the month of April. And I think we were originally on track to be here in May. And then as I explained earlier, the delay, we had additional procedures to do, additional consultations to do. We have been a little bit delayed. We, CBiz, you go through 2 mergers in 2 years, and a lot of policies and procedures change. And I don't mind saying this, we lost 4 key people. what I really enjoy saying as a follow-up to that is 3 of those 4 people have returned to us. So I think we're in a situation where, you know, some delays that perhaps were caused by CBiz, my firm, I think we're in a darn good position to cure those.
Okay, all right, so thank you. And then, Scott, my next question is about, you know, and I think you had mentioned to me earlier, but it seems your team has experience with other utilities. Is that correct? With other municipal electric utilities?
Yes, you know,
So you have audit experience with that. So based on the work that you guys have done historically, what are the most critical metrics that your team considered in the report and that we should be sensitive to looking, you know, we should be sensitive to going forward? What are some of the metrics we should look out for going forward from your perspective?
sure.
No, not from an operational perspective, but from an audit perspective. What do you think are the most important metrics we should look
I think on the cash flow statement, looking at, it's the one up on the screen here, that first subtotal. It's the net cash provided by operation. So inflows of cash from sales and collections of those sales minus operating expenditures. Let me clarify. Obviously, I think everybody on the committee would realize that depreciation is a non-cash operating expenditure. So excluding that, is that number, as Ed pointed out, a lot of times people look at that and does it cover the principal and interest on debt? That situation isn't present here at RMLD because you generated enough cash to do your own reinvestment in the property, plant, and equipment here at RMLD. So the thing I would pay attention to as I look at that screen, that first subtotal of numbers of $12.9 million, is that covering your acquisition and construction of capital assets? In calendar 24, that the acquisition of construction of capital assets was 13.6 million. I think the difference between those two numbers is for an organization of your size and magnitude, not problematic. In fact, I think it's almost negligible. A lot of that's just timing issues. So the key metrics is net cash provided by operations. Is it fully funding the capital requirements of the organization?
Anything else?
I think knowing as Ed tried to point out, and did point out, the terms remaining on amortizing the pension liability down to 0 and the OPEB liability down to 0. I think if I'm in your chair, that's something that I would certainly want to know. Because yes, they're big numbers and they can fluctuate based, as we talked a minute ago, about market returns. But the funding schedule, how many years left on the funding schedule, is an important metrics for you folks to understand.
In that context, how does RMLD if you compare RMLD with other unis, how are we doing?
Your retirement system, and by extension, your proportional share of the retirement of the retirement system funding, is better funded than most.
That's what I thought, but I just wanted you to say.
Yeah. And on the OPEB side, I'm just going from memory from listening to Ed tonight. I think your assets in your pension plan are about 5 million, and I think your liability is about 5 million. So you're about 50% funded. I would say with certainty that is also better than most.
Okay.
If there was an increase by RMLD to make that contribution, down to 0 at some point, or to make that, not contribution, interest and contribution, to make it 0. If you outpace the town of Reading, what would that impact be?
That's another great question. And one that's very complex. I'll do my best to answer it. So Reading Retirement System is a cost-sharing plan. So the assets of the plan are available to all members. So if you plug in another $2 million, you would need some sort of an agreement with the other contributing members that the other $2 million that you plugged into the retirement system would be essentially for the exclusive benefit of retirees of RMLD. Because under the laws of the Commonwealth, Chapter 32, and the way cost-sharing plans work, the assets of the pension plan are available to all members. They're not exclusive to you or another organization. To maybe say that one other way, there are cost-sharing plans, and then a term that really never gets used in the Commonwealth is kind of pooling resources together. But that situation is not what's outlined in Chapter 32 of the General Laws of the Commonwealth. You are a cost-sharing plan, not an agent plan. So to do what you're hinting at, my assumption is you're hinting at it.
Yeah.
I think it could be done. I think you'd need legal counsel, and I think you'd need, some rock solid agreements that would essentially carve out that, in my illustration, I think I said an extra $2 million contribution, that would be exclusive to RMLD.
But as a general practice, we should stay in pace with the town. If it's all equal, staying on pace with the town would be the way to go.
Yeah, I'm going to say yes. It's kind of beyond my scope.
Yeah.
But I try to put myself in other people's chairs when I'm asked questions.
As long as the town is not going the other way.
Yeah, the pension liability, I think it was like $14 million. That's a big number. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But relative to others, it's not. And with a relatively short remaining amortization period, I probably keep doing what you're doing for 8 years and bring it to zero that way. But that's not my call.
Mhm.
That's not our call.
Well, it sounds like if you wanted to accelerate it, you would at least have to change some fairly significant existing structure, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that would be like the first step.
But you do have some flexibility with OPEB, given that is RMLD specific. And that's what that trust is strictly for RMLD. So you have a little bit more flexibility there in advancing those contributions, which I think last year was about $300,000.
Been doing 300,000 a year for the past 3 years, I think.
Yeah, I think that sounds right. It might be something to look a little bit more into, because as Scott said, I think as long as you look at the amortization period and that 8 years doesn't turn into 10 and then 12, if you're staying on track, then I think at least from a cash flow standpoint and expense, you're not really taking a one big hit. And with OPEB, again, just given that amortization period is a little bit longer, you might think about, okay, maybe we can do a little bit more of that. Might change that period by 1 or 2 years, just at least another positive step, if you will.
Another thing, if I may, Madam Chair, is to just piggyback on what Ed's saying. We're seeing more organizations, as their timeline for bringing their pension systems to be fully funded, developing an approved policy at this level that says, okay, once we're fully funded on the pension side of things, we're going to reprogram those dollars, whatever they are. You've been paying into the pension system for X number of years, and in a few years, a handful of years, you'll be fully funded. And then let's capture those dollars. I'll make up a number, call it $1 million. Totally just made it up. So when pension's fully funded, then start to reprogram that $1 million over to pension. OPEB, sorry about that. Thank you. We're seeing that as a trend out there in the governmental environment in the Commonwealth.
Karen, has her hand.
Okay, another question, Karen?
Unmute. Okay. Let's see. Can you hear me?
Can.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, no, these are great. I just wanted to comment that we are having similar conversations. The comment is that RMLD has always been closer to fully funding their pension and further ahead in OPEB than the town has been. The town of Reading specifically has been. We are, given the tightening financial situation, we are talking about extending our fully funding of our pension out a couple years. That was the last discussion we have. No decisions have been made, but and we would also do as the speaker said, you know, once that's fully funded, we would probably focus more on OPEB. We are nowhere near the same level that RMLD is at in terms of funding our OPEB, and there is no mandate in the Commonwealth either to get it funded, so towns are all over the place. Now, I don't know whether you guys have those same OPEB regulatory issues or whether because you have your own you're managed separately, you might have different, but yeah, it is interesting. And I just want to let you know that, you know, as towns are, exactly as the speaker said, as towns are running into financial challenges, we're going to talk about, you know, maybe needing to extend the timeline. Thanks.
Any other discussion?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think we can go ahead and talk with the motion. Ray, would you want to read it?
Move that the RMLD Board of Commissioners accept the 2024 audit report from CBIZ Advisors fiscal year ending December 31st, 2024 as presented on the recommendation of the Board of Commissioners Audit Subcommittee and the interim general manager.
Any further discussion? Okay, we can vote. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0. Right. Let's move on to approval of meeting minutes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
so much.
you all.
Guys,
Thank
Thanks, Ed.
thank you, Patty.
Yeah, Betty, thank you for
Thank you very much.
your work.
Good order.
Great work. Thank you.
You want to do
Yeah.
Tab meeting minutes first?
Okay, can we get a motion?
Move that the RMLD Citizens Advisory Board approve the following 2025 open session meeting minutes as presented on the recommendation of the interim general manager and the board secretary, May 29th and June 25th.
I just have a comment, so on the,
Okay.
there's a typo, small typo. Just minor, but on page 84, page 1 of the June 25th minutes, the RMLD, it's got an E before it. It says ERMLD.
It's electric.
It's like our next branding change. You know,
The next, yes, multiple of them.
So I read these.
they dropped something there for you.
After reading 40 pages, it's hard to find what he.
Thank you. No, that's it. That's it.
Do you want to vote on yours?
Just want to know if there's any other discussion, but we ready to vote?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do you have a motion on our side?
Move that the RMLD Board of Commissioners approve the following 2025 open session meeting minutes as presented in the recommendation of the interim general manager and the board secretary for May 29th and June 25th.
Dave, just second?
I did.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
Any discussion?
I didn't find the E in.
Give them extra stickers. All right, all those in favor? Okay, motion carries 5-0. Thank you. All right, again, logo update.
Right.
I don't have any slide, but I think about 2 months ago, we were asked to do a poll of the customers, whether they like the logo or not, so we didn't do a full survey. We did a poll, when we sent out the peak alerts, which we have 12, 13 peak alerts over the last 2 months. And we also sent out two kind of event emails, one about the heat pump webinar. And then most recently, we sent out the July newsletter. So these are all the communications that we did in terms of polling the customers. And we got 141 responses, and then 76% of them thumbs up. So that's a little bit update.
What was the question that you asked them?
We asked, we have the new logo. Do you like it or do you not like it?
Did you say,
It's come up
did you
with
say
that.
which logo do you like, this logo or that logo? Or
No,
did
it's
you only
the
give them-
logo the new logo.
Oh, you didn't ask what they thought of the old one relative to the.
I think the ask from the board 2 months ago was to ask customer if they like the new logo or not.
Any discussion?
I, at this, I let my opinion be known, regarding the logo. I don't mind the boldness of the letter. I think the lettering is the correct size, the coloring. I like the old logo of the light bulb, and I like the coloring to return to black. I think it's more pronounced. I'd like our truck branding should be specific to say RMLD, big bold letters on the side with the distinguished light bulb of what it had previously. I think that is a return to the original light, but with the change of going back to black lettering would be preferred. In my opinion, I just think that I think we had mentioned to Greg on the change before. I don't think it was well accepted by the board. 70 people come back and say, yeah, okay, great. It's a too small.
76%.
76% out of how many?
140.
140.
Yeah,
So that's rough. 140.
I mean,
I just think
if you really
it's.
want us to do a full survey and then go all the way back, we could.
No, I
know.
don't think that's necessary. I don't think doing a survey is necessary. I think it's just more of a decision of returning the logo back to something again.
I do want to provide the context. If we go back to the old logo, our website design will be, we cannot move forward with that because their new design, the old logo, I don't know all the technical terms of, the digital logo design. The old logo wouldn't fit into the new website structure.
So the logo has a light bulb, right?
It does have a light.
Yeah. It just doesn't have, I don't, the coloring, I just find it hard with the color.
That was like a mixed opinion on the board, right? The color, right? So I know you like the black and gold.
It's like my shirt.
It's on that page there.
Yeah.
I just would prefer that it return to black and maybe a new, if the light bulb stays, that maybe, it's.
So we have the black and white version of the logo. Do you mean you'd prefer that instead of the colored ones?
I don't mind the bold lettering on that logo. If it's impossible to return to the original light bulb with the sunburst around it.
I think that's the one that had problems with miniaturization.
I find that very difficult to absorb.
Because there was.
I do.
Yeah.
I apologize, but
Because it was
did
designed
they-
30 years ago, even the file format was
someone can
different.
recreate it. I don't think it's that difficult today's digital age to recreate that. I really, does it have to be exact, but could it be close to it?
I don't know. I fully understand your opinion, and it's your opinion. So I don't know what to do moving forward. Should I take your opinion and then we change it back, or what should we do?
Right.
All right. I like the star thing also, but I also totally accept the change. It's appeared on a number of other things. It's gone out nearly 80% agreement, 76%. Yeah, I don't think you can
I-
find
I
76%.
don't think it was given a side by side, you know, it was given, hey, look at this. It wasn't a side by side.
It's-
Show me, you want a survey? Show me 5 different
Yeah.
options. Which one do you like?
Yeah.
Oh, here it is. Great. Yeah, thanks. I'm gonna
I-
give
So
some-
you
get
suggest
it.
we put out a vote for customers?
No, I don't want to see another survey. What I would prefer is, again, I could live with the light bulb, but I can't live with the colors. I just can't live with the colors. Personally, I just think if we go back to black and put black on the side of the truck, we're rebranding a monopoly, right? That's a whole other aspect of this, right?
It's facilitating the ability to go into digital format. That's the issue.
Well, if the
And,
light bulb works, then
And standing out.
well, and that's, so
Standing.
yeah, that's where he's saying the bold lettering works.
Yeah.
In terms of the standing out. But being able to go into the digital environment and have a scalable format and
Well, and I think the specific concern around the color,
yeah,
that's not irrelevant, that, you know, it's not relevant to the digital, right? We can still do the digital. My opinion is you're always gonna have difference of opinion of colors and things like that. I think this is, we did a survey, it was overwhelmingly positive. I think that we need to monitor the color and make sure that it is working, you know, does it fade when it's on a truck, things like that. Let's just keep an eye on it. Just make sure that, you know, in situations where that is a risk, we're defaulting to either the black and white or a darker color, but otherwise
That's a
it feels
choice
to
of,
me
that's a
like,
choice of materials, right? Fading would be a choice of materials that you use for paint.
sure. I don't think it's a thing that the board needs to
well, I
go back on.
the way it all went down, I just I didn't like the way that it went down. I think,
Mhm.
you know, it was something that we mentioned, we didn't like it and it was still completed anyway.
Mhm.
So the process that it went through in order to be completed, I just didn't like that process. There was a
Yeah,
lot of
I
resistance.
heard
Yeah,
that
and
from
it
the
was one
first time.
person's
I just
decision.
wonder what should we do moving
I have a
forward?
suggestion. I mean,
Yeah.
if you want to know whether a logo is having its intended effect, then you put it before people who aren't the employees. The boss is saying, do you think I did a good job? And then it's not just show people one thing and say, do you like it? You say, here are 2 logos. Which one do you prefer? Which one do you think is more forward looking? Which one is more? And then that's how it's called A/B testing. That kind of question, if you were saying 76% said, this is more readable, this is more toward the future than the other one, then okay, then we'd be done. But it just was giving them one thing and saying, do you like it? So it doesn't really mean anything
But
versus changing.
I'd like a really clear instruction on what to do. So you'd like me to do another poll? Would the board be willing to draft that question? Because I don't want to come back next time and you say, oh, did you ask the other question? So I really need a clear instruction. I'm really willing to do whatever you need us to do,
Sure.
but it's not clear right now.
What I would say is take that logo that you have, change the color to black, right? Have that
What
teal
color?
Well, you have that color,
Change all teal to black.
change that color, have that one, then have a black one with maybe some different coloring on a light bulb. Maybe we can.
Just to
work on that.
clarify, you'd like to change all teal to black and keep the white, the light blue and the red. Is that the?
I would almost think a yellow around the light bulb, right? To represent light.
What color code of the yellow you would like? Because that's very specific thing that we need to know to
I
actually
understand.
present a new version.
Yeah. If I gave a task to you and your team, just come up, email them to us, right? Throw a couple different versions, put them out there to us before you do, send in.
So I'm hearing, so we're redesigning the logo now. And we can definitely do that if that's the board's intention.
I
But I
do
do
not
need
like
to
that logo,
say,
and that doesn't represent.
you.
if we're
And I-
designing the logo, the website work has to stop. because the
I-
website won't be able to move forward.
Okay, it's a label change at the bottom of a website. It's not,
Oh, no, I'm trying to explain to you.
I understand.
The revamping of the website, which is also what the board asks us to, which we also want to do. The vendor that we have Civics Plus, they do the websites for most of the municipalities and MLPs. The way they design website, logo has to be all set. The very, very first step 0, actually. It's out of our control. So if the logo is not determined, the website work cannot continue.
Okay. I will work with you, Megan, over the next couple of weeks about colors, if that's acceptable. I just
yeah,
really want to change this.
No, I hear you, and I respect that opinion. It's not my favorite color in the world either,
Yeah.
but I also think the organization went through their process. We can absolutely give feedback on the process and say, going forward, we want a different role in this, but it is not something that we necessarily have to approve. And I don't want to spend more money on a poll.
Chumps change.
I don't want to delay a website that we're, investing money to transition. It doesn't feel to me like something that we need to tell them to go back on. That's my opinion.
I just, at this point, I think it was forced through. I didn't like the way that it went through, period. I mean, I'm one person. I'm willing to take a vote of the board up or down,
Yeah, and
right?
we
And
can,
then
we
and
can
we
absolutely
can do that, yay or nay. And if we choose to accept this logo, it is what it is. If we want to change it to black, then we can at least change the lettering, to black and maybe work on the, I'm not against the overall design. I'm just against, right at this point, the colors selected in the design.
And just to be clear, can I ask a clarification? There is a black and white version of this, and I think we saw a few different variations, all with this kind of colorway, but with black font options, right? So if it's
Correct.
a black and white print, it's going to be a black. If it's a shirt or something that's black and white, it's going to be in black, right? So I don't know that that's a redesign. I think it's a choice of which kind of version of the approved logo you would prefer to see.
Correct. I would prefer. to
Erica,
see-
can you pull it up?
Yeah,
Because
we're working on getting.
Yeah,
her
thank
in.
you. Because I think it's better to just close it right now because
I
Bob,
agree.
we don't want to stretch this out.
We can jump to another item while they're digging it up, if that's helpful.
Okay. Does anybody have anyone who hasn't spoken?
I mean, I guess I'll voice, I really don't have an opinion. I'm fine with this logo and yeah.
I'm fine with this logo. I would say move forward. I'm sorry, Bob.
No, that's straight. I'm a Democratic guy. Opinionated Democratic. I did. I wore the colors today. My least favorite shirt. Huh?
Yeah, well, sure.
See it again.
All right. Thanks for the conversation around that. Appreciate it. Thanks for the update. All right. So why don't we move to the annual report approval? This we reviewed last time. We looked at the report. We decided we wanted to take some time to look through it. I think there were a couple of pieces of feedback that were provided. I assume, I think those edits were made.
Were they made?
Just confirming. Yeah. I
Can
thought
you go through like what the changes are since last time? Or is that, what if it takes less than a minute or two?
Are we prepared? Would you be prepared to go through the changes that were made to the
Yeah, there
strategic
was
plan
there were a
document?
few corrections that were noted in the last meeting.
Yes.
There were like errors in
I
that.
don't have that I think it's some handwritten notes. I wasn't here. So I will just kind of go through by my memory if it's okay with you.
My question here is that
Yeah.
it says from the general manager, and this is going from Greg. And is that, do we want it to go from Greg's name or should it go?
Because it's for the year 2024.
Okay, so for 2024, got it, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that's my question.
I think one comment that we had last time is we did have some comments, and the last page says insert financials, and we didn't have audited financials, and so we pushed back on the need to finalize it then pending the audited financials. Now that we have that,
Yeah, they need to be
it-
input.
and we can now sign off on this.
Yeah, I think there was also a change in one of the
Yeah,
charts.
I think that's from Vivek, right? Because we reported up to 2022 because there's 2-year lag for the electricity emissions. So we reported the direct emissions also to 2022, but not, you requested to add the last 2 years, which we have data for. So now that's added,
okay.
the data is added. So that's the first one. And then there's a kind of a wording change in the in this chart. If you go, can I move that? Oh, you have to move it. Oh, how do I move it? And then move to the next page.
Can you see the document page that's on?
18.
18, thank
In the PDF, it's 122.
So packet 122, 18 in your report.
Got it.
Yeah, so basically we changed the kind of wording from energy portfolio to kilowatt hour sales. So that's like that, I think that was requested, so we just changed that. And then the label was also changed to kilowatt hour sales. One more change on wording is certificates. And then I think the last change we made actually was an internal edit by someone, probably Greg. So I think that's all that we were asked to change.
Well, there was somewhere, and I don't know where it was now, where it said renewable energy when it meant non-carbon.
Right.
That's fixed.
That's the wording change that was noted here, and then we changed.
Okay, then I remember Vivek asking what does innovative grid solutions mean? And it was explained that it meant storage solutions, right?
Yeah, and that's in the minutes. The minutes do
So
flag
that still says innovative grid solutions.
That's okay.
Okay.
It's okay. I'm fine leaving it.
I don't know what emissions aligned means, but at this point, like with the logo, let's move on.
Yeah.
Whatever is in here,
It's
Prove
good
it.
enough. It's good enough.
it's emissions aligned.
It's a good report. It's a good
Yep.
report. It's well written. Yeah. Thank you.
Logo's in white on the back. It's in white.
All right, any further discussion on the,
I get a special edition t-shirt.
any further discussion on the contents of the annual report?
Okay, no, we
So-
one thing about, for like defining, I can't remember what page it was when we talked about the year. And we wanted to note. It was
that
supposed to be
2 year.
on 2 pages, I think on
Yeah.
121, 122 of the presentation. Supposed to be, a clarification of the, time frame, if I remember correctly from the last discussion. That it was,
That was page 17. That was the 2 years that we had in 20.
I can't remember exactly what that was. I'm not seeing anything there.
Was it the difference
I
between
think
17
maybe
and
the
18
next
of the time periods for each?
Yeah, I think it was 20, and it was very,
There was no, there were,
it was like 2022, and then it was mentioned in 2024, and then it was 2022 on the next
See,
page.
the state provides only up to,
Yeah,
2
and
years
it was
back.
just, I think we want a clarification on that, but that's all right. It's
so that you're saying there was clarification in one case and not the other.
correct. It was supposed
I think I remember that.
yeah, we were gonna,
I think it was the scope 1 emissions goes through 2024, but scope 2 is only recorded back up to
Right.
2020.
And
or
there's a
I'm sorry,
parenthetical
22.
that says it's released with a 2-year lag. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think
the
that
explanation is provided. Yeah.
yeah, okay, so maybe that was it.
Yeah.
That was the change. Okay, thank you.
You got ready for your vote?
So can we get a motion?
Move that the RMLD Citizens Advisory Board recommend the RMLD Board of Commissioners approve the annual report for the calendar year 2024 as presented on the recommendations of the interim general manager.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
DOC?
Move that the RMLD Board of Commissioners, on recommendation of the Citizens Advisory Board, approve the annual report for calendar year 2024 as presented on the recommendation of the interim general manager.
Second.
All those in favor? Okay, motion carries 5-0. All right, procurement request.
Yeah, so we're purchasing a new fork truck. We had put out the bid for bidders. We received 2 bids. The lowest bid was the estimate we had was 50,000. The total submitted price was $34,770. We look at permission to purchase that fork truck.
Discussion?
22 weeks delivery.
Yes.
The other
Yeah.
one was 4 to 5
Lowest price,
weeks.
22
Yeah,
weeks.
I think the second bid was a couple $1,000 difference.
Yeah.
Is that good enough? 22 weeks?
Yes, yeah. The old model's 2007.
We're not paying for it until it shows up? Or
What's that?
are we paying for it now or when it
I would
shows
pay
up?
and receive it. That's how it usually goes, right? Yeah.
When we receive? Okay. Any other discussion? Who would like to read the motion?
I can read it. Move that bid IFB 2025-20 for one fork truck year 2025 or newer with trade-in be awarded to W.D. Matthews Machinery Company for $34,770 pursuant to MGL 30B as the lowest responsive and responsible bidder on the recommendation of the interim general manager.
Second.
All those in favor? Okay, motion carries. Okay, discussion on E&E Board of Directors appointment. So my understanding is, with a new interim general manager, we have an open seat from RMLD on E&E. And so it's, standard to nominate the general manager or interim general manager for that seat. Before we do that, I just wanted to ask, we've got a bunch of new board members. You know, I think we've maybe heard a little bit from E&E, but as part of kind of this conversation, I would love to have E&E come to one of our meetings and then just kind of share a little bit about what is it that they do for us and what are we, you know, our association with them and spending our interim general manager or future general manager's time on the board. What are we getting out of that?
Yeah, we're gonna set that up September.
September.
That's right.
Yep, so yeah, it's in Mike's update too, but we, they are planning to come and present to us in September. Mike went down there last week, I believe it was, and just got a lot of good material, kind of like E&E 101, which was great. So we'll do that. For this particular seat, it's because we are a part owner and it's an appointment for that seat. So that's just kind of how this one works. And it's usually, it's all GMs and IGMs. The appointment's normally 3 years. We made this 1 year just as it's an interim appointment. And then when the new GM is appointed or hired, then we'll make that person the chair. Is usually how it goes.
Go ahead.
I just, sorry, just a quick question. Is there something we could read, some material or something on E&E just for, even for in preparation for that particular meeting so that we can understand? I'm not sure really what it is.
I have some PowerPoints I could send you.
Yeah, something like that, just to get a high level idea. You said we own, we're part owners, you know, what does that mean?
8.33%.
Yeah.
Bought into the company.
So
pretty much they do the majority of the power purchasing for us, and they do they offer other things like different programs like if you want to buy a battery, they'll review the battery program for you as well, like help negotiate prices for you, energy efficiency savings, stuff like that. They have different programs they offer as well.
okay. So we own a stake
Yes.
in this entity.
I guess it was purchased, I think by Colleen for, I think, an investment of, 300,000. They say now it's worth, I think, around 690. It's gone up in value, so.
Yeah, so I think there are just questions around, okay, you know, kind of what does that look like? Are we getting
Yeah, the cost.
are we getting compensated for our ownership stake? How does E&E get compensated? I think they're a for-profit organization, so what does that mean? So I think having E&E come and share their strategy, their benefits or approach that they use would be helpful.
I agree.
That would be good.
Yeah, we have 3 out of 5 of us are somewhat new. And actually, it's a great idea. Is there a reason why we can't do this at the next meeting?
Yes, the only reason is because there is an E&E board meeting on August 6th, which Mike has been asked to attend, and in order to attend and participate in that meeting, he needs to be appointed.
Oh,
Well,
I think, no,
we're
I
gonna
think,
appoint him.
no, I think,
Oh, I
the question was,
We're
do E&E come
appointed.
in August instead of in September?
But we're just saying for this, yeah, I mean, if you don't mind scheduling it for August, Pam.
Yeah, I don't
like-
know that we have a ton, besides the GM search, I'm not sure how much we'll have on the agenda for August, so if they're able to make the August meeting, that
Yeah,
would be great.
I mean,
Yeah, because I think the only thing, Megan, we are thinking about maybe doing a customer survey presentation then, but we could do that in September if needed to.
Right, I think we planned for September.
Oh, it depends. Yeah, so,
the
we
August,
can reach out.
yeah, that would be great.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion around the nomination or appointment?
I think it makes sense to be fully engaged because we're already owners there.
Yeah.
So you'll have proper representation.
Side of our ownership.
So yeah.
So what's your point?
Point is,
Do it.
get 'em in.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something we regularly do, and yet they're very much a major player in a lot of what RMLD does and buys in a lot of our contracts, and their lobbying positions are also potentially of interest. They lobby for things on Beacon Hill. They're very involved, so.
Actually, I think that's a really good reason to kind of push for August if we
Yeah.
can, because if that is ahead of the next legislative session, I think
What they're
it'd be
lobbying
helpful
for,
to understand what their position is on some of those.
some issues that are out there now, so.
Would it make sense to actually kind of point out what kind of, they provide a lot. I think Mac was there for maybe 3 hours or so to listen to their presentation, so maybe it would be helpful if you really want to hear about legislative work, or you really want to hear about, something else, power supply.
And ask questions. Maybe
Okay.
they can be here and explain the high level, the 101, and we can ask questions.
Yeah,
I'm sure they can supply like a PowerPoint ahead of time too.
I think that might be a multi-meeting type thing for sure. You're not gonna get it all in one. I think, we're gonna be a couple hours in.
Yeah, I
But-
mean, again, if ahead of the meeting, if they want some guidance on what would be most impactful, like I'm happy to talk to them to give them some guidance, or, ask one of the other board members to do that.
And I have, I'm gonna send, Mike, I'm pretty sure it's okay to send these. I'm gonna send along 5 presentations that they, shared. And then maybe after you guys take a peek at those, you'll have, areas of interest or things as well.
And internally, we can also, I don't know what's the process, we can send you like what we currently do with them. Like, just so they don't have to repeat what they
Sure.
do for us right now.
So in addition to being a owner, we should know this much. In addition to being an equity owner, we make a payment every year. Like a
Yes.
fee. What is that?
Yeah.
What is
Every
the
month.
amount of that?
Yes, I
What's the
just
amount?
they're all, you wanna,
What is the amount of that payment?
yeah, so, each month it will add up to almost 40,000.
So $500,000
If not
a
more.
year ballpark.
Is it a percentage of power purchased? It's a straight payment.
There's
Based on the
there are two
utility.
straight payments. One is on power supply services, most of the wholesale market services for us. The others sort of fixed payment is on energy efficiency, even if you don't take any programs from them as an owner, you still pay 2,400 each month. And then if you do take a program, you pay extra.
Well,
So-
I think you already know.
Monthly payments based on like the size, like your investment in the. So it's equally spread out, like there's some small municipals are part of it as well, so.
And then when they bring power supply contracts to us. So as a for-profit entity, this is one question that I know I would like to ask is, what is it, how are they making money from the power supply contract, if any, that we're approving? Like,
Yeah.
what is that? How does that work?
They, so they actually engage a legal firm to negotiate the contract. So the kind of the theory behind this is they can represent multiple MLPs. So it's better bargaining and negotiating power
Makes sense.
with the suppliers to so hopefully lower the price of the PPAs. So for that expense, they will allocate to each participating MLPs. And then after, if we sign up for one of those PPAs, we'll pay them a regular monthly fee for them to basically, they call it manage the contract and then track the certificates. So they transact all the certificates for us.
Oh.
Yeah,
the
on the
commission
PPAs that we
will
have.
manage the certificate purchases and sales.
Yes.
Why do we need them to do that?
I don't know. I didn't make any decision.
You're good, right?
So some, yes.
That
sounds
was
like
part
some-
of the
some-
package
this
of
is
the
kind of-
service.
I think the questions are probably gonna be around, what are the services? What are the fees for the services? What are the benefits that we're getting for those services? You know, the ownership stake value's gone up. Are we getting some sort of dividend for that? And I think then probably more internal conversations, once we understand that, internally, do we believe we're getting the value for that investment? But I think we need to understand what that investment is and what the services are first before we can have that conversation. Yep.
Thank you.
Okay.
So what were you gonna say, Rick?
No, I'm
Any other discussion
Good.
or are we ready to read the motion?
You read the motion
All right.
that pursuant to section 3.2 of the operating agreement of Energy New England LLC, Reading Municipal Light Department Board of Commissioners hereby appoint Michael O'Neill as Class B Director of Energy New England LLC Board of Directors for a term of 1 year.
Second.
Further? Okay, all those in favor?
What to do?
Congratulations, Michael.
Congratulations, Mike. We got a big summer for you.
All right,
Can I ask one more question about this? What do the board of directors do? Like, what do you have to do on August 6th? Like, what's the agenda?
No, so they'll go on, things that are for public consumption. They'll review what they're working on, some things that are behind the scenes, like I guess they'll hand out all the pamphlets and information, kind of review it, and then you kind of talk like, are you for something like this? You think this is a good initiative for them to push forward and stuff like that. And then they'll take it back, like they don't want it to the public, because something is like could be like somewhere that with buying power, they could be a good investment, kind of talk about that stuff, I guess. Because they don't want to, people to know that what they're looking
Power
for.
supply could
Yeah.
be executive session.
Yeah.
Right. Because they are a public entity like an MLP. They're an MLP cooperative. So
They're a
they are a
nonprofit.
public entity, just like we are, but they're a cooperative of MLPs. So anyway,
Well, they're LLC, so
they're that too, but they are legally a cooperative of it.
They do the work, the private sector as well. There's T contracts in the WRA as well. So any profit that they make off that goes back into the company.
okay, on to your IGM update.
Okay. Yeah, so as far as team members, the management teams, we hold regular meetings, review the workload of the projects. Team, everything's going pretty steady right now, no major issues. Recruitment, director of finance and accountant, we put that on hold, wait until after the budget. Patty's been the acting director right now, is doing a very good job, and she's comfortable where she is. And materials manager, that's one we're gonna post. That was Paulo O'Leary, who recently retired. We'll probably post that within the next couple of weeks. The union contract, so we had a mediation session with the IBEW. We're gonna schedule a second one. Kind of similar process, probably gonna follow with LMS and CT. KP Law is supporting us on that as well, on all those contracts. One thing we need to probably do is schedule an executive session to talk about the contracts. So I don't know if we could maybe schedule something like that in the next week or two or something.
Oh, you, in between meetings?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Then,
Let's-
let's go over some parameters and get some feedback.
Okay. I know we could talk about it in scheduling maybe, but we did have like a tentative mid-August meeting before NEPA. Is that,
Yeah, we did have, I
Enough
think we have,
for the-
well, if we get it before August 12th, it'd be better.
Okay.
August 12th, we have a
Okay.
second meeting, so,
okay, all
Second
right,
meeting where.
with the IBW and the mediator.
okay.
So it helps to get some clarity and some things.
Let's make sure we talk about that scheduling. Okay.
The weather, like I said before, we really haven't had too many, setbacks due to, the heat or, any storms. We are monitoring, the weather for, Friday with a high heat and a chance of thunderstorms in the afternoon, especially being on Friday afternoon. The fleet update, we said we received our material handler with, the electric and hydraulic PTO. That's not on the road yet. It'll be on the road. It's here in the yard, but it'll be on the road, within a couple days. And, the second one should be in any time now within the next couple of weeks. So those are big purchases. The projects, AMI metering. So, we have both 5, Itron meters that showed up. IT's are working on, the collectors programming them, and, we should be getting a bunch of meters. I think, it's supposed to be around 500 of them in August for our pilot. Once we get the collectors and everything set up, we'll, start rolling some of those out for a pilot and do some testing on them. Station 6, like I said, actually earlier they asked about it. Yeah, the transformers are on site. They've been, assembled and filled with oil. The testing's ongoing. We did have a couple issues. One of them was missing wrong size radiators, so we're waiting on Virginia Transformer to fabricate those, and they'll have to install them. Also, Virginia Transformer is going to come up and, do some additional testing on the transformers as well. So that's, scheduled for the next couple of weeks. Then, the budget, that's scheduled for, October, early November. And then, E&E, we'll try to get them, for, August. Get them in here. And, the annual meeting, that's, September 18th and 19th in Plymouth. Board members are invited. And, also we met with, Reading Town Manager and, Assistant Town Manager last week also, so. Yeah, talked to Ray, talked about the solar, told him to support them, the projects.
Uh,
I think that was,
Do you know any more about the meeting that's 2 days? Do you have an agenda or?
I have some information.
Okay.
I don't think they have an agenda out yet.
Did anybody go to last year's meeting? No. maybe not. I
Yeah,
don't- I
manager
don't know
went.
what that would be.
No,
Most covering.
I don't know.
But yeah, that's September 18th and 19th. The agenda is in development, but one of the confirmed speakers is the new telecommunications, utilities and energy committee chairman, Representative Mark Cusack of Braintree. It's just a good meeting where you guys can network with other GMs, and as they draft the agenda, that's kind of where it's at. It's in Plymouth.
One of the things that the MLCA is trying to do is be a part of MEME, in which they would be provide us with some administrative support, like website and communication and financial help. Otherwise, we would function as a separate committee or separate organization within it. That discussion's been ongoing. Whether it gets to the point where a topic at this annual meeting, I'm not sure. But we've had meetings with them, and that is a plan to give us a home.
Ray, I got a quick question.
Mhm.
For the, for that group, how do you avoid a quorum?
It comes under the exemption. We're not talking about business of any one utility. And if it got into that, we would interrupt that discussion so that it comes under the heading of training and education. And so we bring in groups and talk about broad topics, which is difficult to, like a new person coming in, what is E&E and what programs are out there and what's legislative. To take up a meeting time to get all the basics is difficult. But if we have monthly meetings where these topics come up and you can learn about them, then you avoid quorum because you're not talking about a specific utilities questions. It's background, it's education.
Thank you.
Anything else, Mike?
That's it.
Oh, so sorry. If you could just let me know if anyone's interested in attending me, I just need to let Ben know. Even if you're not sure, but you're kind of interested. Okay,
I would like to learn more
Okay,
about what's
perfect.
gonna be covered, so yeah, please. Okay, next topic is GM search process. So couple things that we have to do with this. Our focus for these discussions is alignment on the process and appointment of a subcommittee, if we agree that that will be part of the process. And then review and approval of the job advertisement strategy as well as the description. Before I start talking, do you want to cover anything here, Susan, or do you want me to run through?
I don't need to speak yet. Erica put together this fantastic schedule for us, and I can speak some more when you get to the, if anyone has the questions about the edits. And
So yeah, Susan and I worked together and of course with Erica and Aaron on what this should look like. We leveraged as much as possible what has been done in the past. So I think the packet actually includes where we have things like a change in the job description or a change in the posting plan. You can actually see the red lines of what is different now versus the last time we went through this process. But essentially if you look at page 1 of the topic, page 138 of the full packet, the recommendation is that we have a preliminary screening committee who would go through the initial interview process and would recommend a set of candidates for final interview by the board. It does not have to be 3. I think we said somewhere between 3 and 5 would be ideal, but it really is up to the subcommittee how many we want to recommend to go to public interview. In terms of the timeline, that is on page 2. So objective would be to have the search process, the committee, the advertisement and the description approved tonight. Then we would post Monday and have the job posting open for 4 weeks. We would also have the committee kick off next week and ensure that we have a plan for what would the initial interviews look like, what topics are we going to cover. We need to be consistent about that and align on what the attributes are and all of those things that we're looking for. And then that application window would close the week of the 25th. As applications come in, the committee can review those applications. I think the thinking is that committee would meet weekly to check in on the status of the application process and prepare for discussions. And if we need to decide on things like maybe we need more time or maybe we need to clarify something, we can do that. Then the discussion of the applications would be the week following the closure of the application window. The interviews would happen the first half of September. That's on the next page. And we would ideally bring candidates to final BOC interviews early October.
That's pretty fast.
That is.
It is fast.
Yeah. That's too
Dave
fast.
and I were on the last time and met quite regularly, but it took a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We met, we
I mean-
cranked through and we thought we were going fast. Yeah. Yeah. And
So
There was a lot of applicants, so it was probably what, 50? I think,
Yeah.
Last time.
I'm sorry, you can finish.
and then, yeah, then we did in-person interviews. We narrowed it down. We did in person and then we got down to the finalists. And,
Mhm.
So very, very similar to,
It's very much like pretty much how this is laid out.
yeah,
Yes, and
exactly.
we used that as the template for sure. So I guess the question is, do we feel like we need to, from the start, allocate more time to this timeline? Or do we want to leave ourselves some freedom to extend if we're not seeing the applications that we need, or that we feel good about, or that we need more time to prepare for interviews.
I think that you have to push based on what you get, right?
Mhm.
And then you'll see what comes in. And then trying to get through all of those in that 2 week period does seem to be aggressive.
Which one are you talking,
I'm talking
oh,
about, you
which-
have
which
Labor
2 week period?
Day, week 6 weeks, preliminary virtual screening. I did my first round of applicants. You have a holiday weekend in there.
Yeah.
That was going to be busy, so I would suggest that you would almost be
You add another week,
screening,
add another week.
at least screening through September. And then beginning in October, you might have your first rounds of interviews. And that will take, depending on how many you're gonna go through, it's gonna take longer than 2 weeks.
Okay,
So
so I think we're saying preliminary virtual screenings would extend by a week.
at least,
Okay. And then from there, that also means identify first round applicants as extending by a week. And then first round interviews. And I think I missed a step in that my previous comment. It's the screening and then it's the kind of more formal interview,
Mhm.
but again, still in committee. That's also 2 weeks. So we're saying potentially that would also be an extra week.
yeah, if you could get through 2 people a week, I think that would be out of 6, that's 3 weeks. That's pretty aggressive.
Would the interview all be at night too?
Yes.
Right, so.
We did it at the library, a neutral site.
Mhm.
We used the Reading Public Library. It can be anywhere, but we ended up booking the room at the library last time, so that ended up working.
Okay.
So just to clarify, sorry, you're saying you want to do 3 weeks for preliminary virtual screenings, like phone screens, and then 3 weeks, then you'd have identify first round applicants, also 3 weeks, because you're going to mirror those two.
Correct.
Okay, so we're going to extend that, and then first round interviews also.
Additional week, correct. So that would start the week of the let's say 21st or so, 22nd,
Well, you.
because you've
October,
already
yeah.
extended of September. And then that's going into the second week of October.
So
that'll end week 11, October 10th.
You're shifting by 3 weeks.
So right now we're shifting by 2 weeks. So that means by October 10th, we have the finalist applications identified.
I thought you were
So you added
moving
one
by
and
3
plus
weeks.
1 plus 2.
Yep,
You-
right.
So
So
that's 3
1
weeks.
week,
That's
it's
good.
1 week to the virtual screenings in the first round. That's a concurrent process. That's 1 week. And then you're adding another week to the first round interviews. That's 2 additional weeks.
Yep. Quick question. Would you like us to make these edits following this and send it, or do you want to edit this live quick and approve it? We could.
What I would say is, let's take the feedback and then let's get the committee set up and the committee can have that as their first assignment. Okay.
And I know we have reference checks. Those can be concurrent. Right, so you could take that time for interviews and identify, it doesn't,
So the thinking is, we really should reference check only those who are gonna be finalists. Just
Yeah.
from our timing and not to waste
Also,
their time.
if you're gonna call in their current employer, that may trigger some stuff, so you might wanna wait to have the finalists, because then that's public information anyways. It's gonna become
Right.
public.
But we, if, heaven forbid, something came back and said, no, that didn't work out from a reference check standpoint, we're not then bringing them to a public forum before that happens. So we could down select from there if we need to. But I think what that says is the week of the 20th of October is when we would be starting the final interviews. So really what kind of we're talking about, like by of November 1st, essentially, is when we have the candidates selected. Which I think is important that we try to get to that point before the holiday period. So, I think
I can just tell you from experience, this was at least a 60-hour effort from us. I would say at a minimum. So that type of time.
Subcommittee members or all?
Subcommittee.
Yeah, okay.
It
So
was
it's important for anybody who wants to be on the
yeah, no,
subcommittee.
it was intense. It was
Yeah.
It was a lot. To be on a part of that committee. So you are busy couple nights a week at least. Doing that work. So if you're, anybody's in, that it was a time commitment. From that perspective. I also think, I knew you had it in here on page 1, the contract negotiations, and so I would like to say that there could be a second subcommittee, and that second subcommittee could focus on the contract. While in parallel, while you're looking for a candidate, another subcommittee could be focused on the contract, which.
So like key terms and conditions that we want to ensure are covered and partnering with KP Law, for example.
Correct. And I think that's something that if you want that not to work that out at the end, you want to have that in parallel. And I think that could take such significant amount of time.
It's a great idea.
Yeah.
I think,
I like that too.
Because also it's something where in the interviews, it's like, hey, we'd like to make sure the contract says X. Is that a problem for you? Like something that we want to make sure is in there or isn't in there. Potentially.
Yeah. Like,
Or
Well, yeah.
whether it's expressed that way or not. It
right.
would just be,
I think the idea of having the subcommittee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So number 4, so we already have a structure for a GM contract committee and.
Yeah.
Okay.
We pick it back up.
Yeah. And you can do some relative compare. They can at least do some deep dive into others, previous, current.
Yeah.
And then create one that when we're ready, that would be something, to Dave's point, I think seeing that as part of the final candidate would be something I think would be important for that person. I'm not saying it's offering the job, but this is the contract that you're going to enter into.
Yeah.
So I think that would be something that would be very, very important to have solidified before that happens.
and that this is of course when the time comes, but when we vote to whoever we recommend, it's move to enter contract negotiations with X. As opposed to move that this is the GM and only then you've already.
Right. Which is, I think,
That's the right
how,
way to do it.
that's how we approach the the most recent one too. So,
It-
okay.
It actually isn't. We but that's okay. Oh,
No, it was.
Mike. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. That's what we did. Okay, so we'll add the subcommittee for contract negotiation or contract drafting.
Contract drafting.
Contract,
It was like GM
GF contract.
contract committee, I think it was called.
Yeah, fine. GM contract committee, love it.
And I think, but as before, I would put one member of the cab.
Yep.
on that.
So we have the 2 subcommittees then. So that's great. And these would be executive sessions for both of these topics. Yes.
Yes and no. So the GM search committee and yes, like mostly will be done in executive session. There are things that you will not be able to do in executive session. One thing I noted in here on the first page, with this little.
Committee
triangle,
open, yeah.
Interview questions.
Yes, so that was a point last time we just might want to consider. You're not, open meeting law prohibits you from creating them in executive session, but there might be an exemption that had been discussed with KP Law before. Just like a note, but generally your meetings will be regular session and then you'll enter executive accordingly.
So let's just take the action that if we cannot create them in executive session, then we should put that on the agenda for August. And maybe Susan, we could talk about having a set of questions again for kind of preliminary screening and then first round.
And
that
you
we
can have,
review.
you can even have your committee draft all those and then recommend it to you at the August meeting as like
Okay.
a full board as well. Okay.
I don't recall that we
Yeah, we
did
can-
that. We did not do that in the first search. We did not, we didn't want to expose any questions in a public forum because then you can, if you're paying attention, you can go back and look. So
Which is part of the argument for keeping it in executive, but I definitely think it's something we'll want to discuss with. legal
Yeah,
offline.
yeah, definitely. To be fair, you ask the same questions of every candidate.
Yes.
But, that's the whole point is to draw something out while you're having those discussions, right? I mean, that's the questions are supposed to be designed to be interactive. But yeah, no, we did not, the final, just as we did on the last one, yeah, they're public because we put them out there, but you can't give them out there ahead of time. I don't agree with that. Sorry.
So Erica, what is the point that you're making that you cannot formulate questions in executive session?
Yeah, so you just, generally that's the guidance on just before you decide to do or not do that, I would just check with KP Law and then make a decision going in. Because we have been doing them in public, I just wanted to bring that to your attention to just make sure that it's properly done for when you do it. It actually, I think, is a specific bullet on the subcommittee checklist from the state, so I'll send that to you guys as well.
Good point, because, yeah.
Yep. Okay, so we'll proceed to vote to form both the search committee and the contract committee. Let's just talk briefly about the membership of each. Certainly the recommendation would be 2 RMLD commissioners and 1 CAB member for each of these. Susan would also be a non-voting member of the committee to help move us through the process. And then we also have some optional participants, maybe municipal utility expert, or maybe an existing RMLD employee. Obviously, the more people we have participate, the more schedules we have to work with, which makes it hard. So I think we should be super thoughtful about, again, the time commitment we're asking somebody to jump into, as well as scheduling. Does anybody have a particular opinion around any of the optional participants?
Last time, did we have an external utility expert?
No, but the 2 times before there was. The 2 times before had an employee representative and a outside person. They were actually pretty good, big committees. But then I think in 2022, it went down to just the basics.
Well, so when Colleen was hired, there was the larger
Yeah.
committee.
Do we know how long that process took?
That was,
That one took a while.
I wasn't,
I wasn't here, but I remember.
What now?
that on, when Colleen was hired, that search committee, when they had, we had the new Phil. So you have to
Yeah,
answer
John
these questions.
John Stepek was involved, right?
I was here for
Yeah.
that. Now, so what's the specific question? What she was hired?
Did we have, what was the process, and we used outside experts to
Oh,
support it, so. Was
And-
thinking
they had-
about the
think
2
we
most
used-
recent, would it make sense to do that again or not?
And they had an employee on the search committee as well, which.
Did
I
they?
don't know.
So
I don't know.
one thing on that one, Susan and I discussed this as well as, it's not on the agenda, but we are planning to release another employee survey. And so there's an opportunity potentially to ask for input around like qualities of a general manager as part of that survey
Yeah.
and use that as input.
I think that,
Is that still
Yes,
potentially an
yep,
option?
we said
Okay.
fall, in fall.
So that could be an alternative to asking an employee to spend 60 hours of their time in
Yeah,
the evening. to
that
participate in
sounds, what you just said sounds. good.
Would the outside person be a paid consultant?
Only if you elected to hire an outside paid consultant.
I can't see somebody doing it for free for 60
There's-
hours.
Sometimes you can tap other general managers to volunteer their time.
That's, I will say the biggest challenge I've ever had with all of this committee type stuff is just getting everyone to be able to attend. And that's what delays the process more than anything else. And, you know, you don't want to go ahead without them because you want to give everybody their ability to have their say in the process. And, you know, that's where you really have to have people fully engaged. And just to go back to 1 second, the public body checklist for executive session, just so you know where we got that. One of the last bullets here is the preliminary screening committee may not enter executive session to prepare questions to ask candidates or to discuss the review process. Such discussions must occur in open session. So we will double check with KP Law because I totally understand your concern, and it's ours too. And
you're not you're not a quorum. You're technically a subcommittee, right? So is it, I don't know if it's, it's not.
You're still going, you're going though executive session, so you have to have reasons to go to executive session, and you have to go by the.
Yeah, it always gets into a quagmire, right? So but the whole point of it is to ask questions that someone doesn't know, right? That's some of it.
And I would just stress one other thing, please, everybody here, when we do start getting resumes in, keep in mind, all of the candidates are not public. No one should mention a name. No one should reference a community. I can't stress that enough. It is really, really important to the candidates. And I just didn't say this right now. They're listening. We will be very sensitive with their information, and it will be kept non-public until they choose to go public. Right. Should they make it to the second round.
Got a NEPA hunting to do.
The initial interviews, you're not gonna do them through Teams calls, you're gonna bring them in person. Cause your Teams calls, you can bang it a lot faster than in person. And more flexible people.
So
that was the initial screening we did through Teams, and then we picked out of that, we picked people that we wanted to bring in
For the first round.
in person.
It says preliminary virtual screenings.
Yeah,
So that suggests that you would be teams.
Yeah.
And then you get your first round applicants.
I think that makes sense.
That was the thought we had.
Okay, so why don't we focus for a second on nominations for these two committees? So unless anybody has any other comments on the makeup of the committees, we'll focus on the 2 BOC members and 1 CAB member. Start with the screening committee. Does anybody have a nomination for themselves or someone else?
I think I nominate Vivek. I nominate Vivek for the CAB representative.
Oh.
Second.
Would you accept the nomination?
Yeah, I accept.
Okay, excellent. How about on the board?
I'll be on the screening committee.
I'll do either or, screening and
Or are we nominating people?
yeah, whatever you want to do.
I nominate Dave for the contracts.
I accept that. I think you'd be, well, I mean, probably any of us would want to be on the screening committee.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, I don't know.
Do you have any interest in it? Yes.
Scared me with the 60 hours there, but
So it was a lot. It was a decent amount of time.
Yeah.
60 hours might have been high on the higher side, but
And you can do meetings not at night. We do them in the morning at lunch if you wanted.
we did meet in the middle of the day a couple times.
Yeah.
Your lunch.
I'm just not sure what my fall is gonna look like. A lot of changes happening. So,
Yes, you'll be in the car.
yeah.
Can do the rule of thumb. Is anybody not interested? Start there. Besides Pam.
I mean, I would be happy to participate on the contract committee. I don't think that would be.
I'd probably be more inclined on the contract side too, if there's others who are so inclined on the screening.
Sounds like we have a consensus.
well, so, okay,
So I'll be on the
Dave, contract.
contracts committee, sure.
so maybe Dave and Reg contract. And Ray and Bob screening.
That sounds like a comedy show.
It does.
Ray and Bob show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that what you want to do? All right.
Did you have a?
No, you're a glutton for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Um,
How about, contract?
I'm not interested in a contract. So I don't know if you are, if we want to nominate the person that's not here.
Ellie.
But so I can't say that I would do it, but if there's nobody else, then I'll, step up to the plate. He's already doing one. So.
Right.
You
Do
know,
you want, I was gonna say, do we,
What do you
if
want?
the cab feel, that they want to have a representative on the contract?
We really wouldn't have a vote anyways, right? We would just be.
you would, but
No,
we
no.
would disregard it.
Against, okay?
No, I
Dennis, but you keep leaping over the Diaz right
Oh.
now.
No, I think we'll take you up on that.
Okay. No cab participation.
No,
That's Charlie. You can ask Charlie if he wants to do it, but
We can email him and ask.
Yeah, he can always add them later, right?
Okay,
And I would just, the one thing I would suggest is that we come out with 4 or 5, because give the full board more than just 3. I don't think that-
yeah, I don't think we restricted it to 3.
And you could have 3, if he's not, whatever, you'd have 3 commissioners on it.
I mean, how,
We can't have 3 commissioners,
Yeah.
because that'd be a
I
quorum,
mean,
but-
how many
candidates.
candidates, the
Yeah.
screening committee?
you want 3 to 5.
So it does,
Candidate.
I think we should, just make sure we leave ourselves room in this process. That
Yeah.
it could be, it's like a target number, but it could be more than that. if needed.
but you could also put in a substitute, right? For each, you have a subcommittee, it's 2 people, but you also have an alternate. So
Yes,
We're
sorry,
talking
we're,
about the
we're talking about candidate numbers,
The number. of
but I
people
do
to
agree
come
with
out
you. Is that allowed to have a substitute committee member? If that feels. It feels like it's.
KP Law,
Then.
ask KP Law, right? Just
Great
like
idea,
an
but-
alternate juror, right?
Yeah, but the alternate juror sits through the entire
Yeah.
hearing and
Yeah.
then just doesn't vote in
I
the
think it'd be
thing.
hard to look in and
Yeah,
have feedback on only some.
And that would be a problem, right?
So my only, as
Quorum.
the casino of the board at this point, he would say, this is like the only thing we do is pick the DS. And it's true. I mean, it's basically, that's the one thing we do on the DS. And we have some other things that we do, but they don't add up to a lot. They do, but my point being that the full board should have a good slate to choose from, and it should be all 5 that really is thinking about.
Mhm.
And that the screening committee is really just screening, like, okay, obviously these folks aren't
Well, it's screening in its first round.
sure.
So I think the point is, we don't have to force ourselves to 3 if there's 4 fabulous candidates.
Exactly.
So,
I guess I would say.
but
aim for-
we are not going to just have 2, you
Sure,
know, so we need to, it's like a 3 to 5 is ideal.
yeah, and I guess I would just tweak that to say aim for 5, but if you don't have 5, then don't bring 5 forward. And then we'd have it also could maybe save you time because you're not gnashing teeth over. It makes your job easier. in a
So for the
sense.
subcommittee members, is that direction clear enough?
I mean, do you guys agree with it, or is it?
Do you
sound
want to have a
stupid?
chair?
That-
On your side?
I don't think we can make that decision until we see who the applicants are.
Sure,
I mean, if, on the applicant side, they're now coming into a public session where they're opening themselves out to
That's
job and career change and whatever.
yeah, that's true.
And if it's only a 15 or 10% chance you're going to get the job, do you really want to expose yourself to that sort of public presentation? So yes, I think 3 sort of a minimum. I think 5 starts to get a lot more choices, but what the number is, I think will depend on what we get for applicants and there are a
Point
lot of values.
Discussion
This
that you
discussion.
can have in bringing that forward. you asked a different question around the chair. I think that will be part of the subcommittee agenda to define a third chair.
It's like the first thing, it's the first thing we did in the very first
Yeah.
meeting.
Okay.
I mean, there've been other times where the subcommittee chair was assigned. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so, we're going to form let's talk about a second.
Now that we've had the discussion, do we want to go back and read the motions?
Yeah, that's what I'm just trying to make sure I understand what this first motion is. Appointed preliminary screening committee
And
and contract committee. Okay, so we're gonna form those two committees. Can
So
you
shall I-
please amend? Yeah, just add that.
move that the Board of Commissioners appoint a preliminary screening committee and a contracts committee for the consideration of applicants and interviews for the GM position.
In 1 second.
Second.
All those in favor? Okay, so formed. Okay, and then so who wants to move for,
I move that the Board of Commissioners appoint Ray Porter and Bob Colder, sorry, Bob, to the screening committee, and Dave Talbert and Rick Swanson to the contract committee for the general manager search. Sorry, guys, I really should get to know you guys sometime.
you want to second that one?
Once a month's not enough.
All those in favor?
There's a turn.
And Cab?
Okay, can I get a motion?
Move that the Citizens Advisory Board appoint Quebec to the General Manager Search Committee.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Okay. Excellent, we are formed. Okay, so then we have two additional documents. One is the GM job advertisement. And the second is the job description. I don't think we need a motion on this, but we just want feedback or consensus. I know this was sent out for feedback direct to Susan. Anything that you wanted to clarify?
You want me to just quickly, I'll just run through what was changed.
What page is it again in the book?
So 142 is the advertisement. And you'll see the current recommended one and then the one from last time with edits.
Right, so the edits, we just obviously changed some normal numbers that we just had to update, a number of customers we were serving and employees we had and that kind of thing. The salary, I expect you'll have a little more discussion about that here, but that was something we put in because there is new legislation going in this fall about.
Actually, I think that's a little ahead.
Are you guys with us now?
Go back.
Sorry.
You there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Page 146, right?
142.
142.
I just didn't want to be rude. But there is new legislation coming out about, transparency in pay. Pam and I had talked this over. I had looked at some data of the MLPs that we would compare ourselves to in any way, like a little smaller, a little larger. We took out the outlier of the one that has gas, electric, and telecom. And we kind of just said, what are all the salaries in this group of 13 MLPs that were ranging from 225 to 275. And so we didn't do anything more than that. So that's kind of what the range is right here. And you guys may want to discuss that amongst the group here tonight. That's up to you. The other things that I changed just slightly, our old advertisement said references and salary requirements. For legal reasons, we like to use an employment application to gather references because it requires the applicant to certify what they're saying is true and can be checked by us. And so I opted to, instead of getting a list of references, to get references that were on an application. The application gives me more information to later do a background check as well. So that's one of the things that I changed. And then the other was to also ask for a cover letter. We had not asked for that in our previous one. The previous advertisement that I saw too, for some reason was very specific to in-house candidates. So I think that was kind of part of what required a little bit of changes here for us. And I did put a little language as far as the link of where to find instruction, et cetera, along with the deadline for that information to come back to us, and to include some of the contingencies, because when we were dealing with only internal candidates, obviously those people had been already vetted, tested, met the contingencies to working at RMLD. And I wanted to be sure that any applicant understands the testing and everything that is required of this particular position.
Full disclosure, I did talk to Susan about references, and my fear was we would see the references, because when you get an applicant, you like the references, but it's not going to interfere.
Nope, I will make sure everyone sees and the references that we check. Everybody can share that information, but it has to be done in the executive session, because we're going to be, I'm going to have to check on that too, when that's going to hit exactly, because it may actually come out when they become a public candidate. I may be doing it when they agree to go on to the next one as a contingency to go on, right?
Yeah, you don't want to do reference checks before they're like a final candidate.
Well, this is the point I was making too, is that you don't really want, we do a background check and reference checks. The background check is the last thing. It happens when we're ready to offer them a job, and those are the contingencies to coming aboard as an employee, and that file goes into your personnel file. And
We do like on the venture side, we do background check right up front. You want to know there's no hidden skeletons right up there. So you should, I would do that up front, because if you can, that's all the police records and all that, right?
I wouldn't do that too early.
Yeah.
I mean, if we've got 20 applications, we don't need to do 20 background checks. If 10 of them are just going to be,
expensive.
Yeah, no, but fair enough, but you don't want to nominate anyone
oh yeah.
who would be flagged.
So you're suggesting that the background check and the references are done at the same time?
No, the reference checks are done when you have a serious candidate. Before you choose someone to be a serious candidate, you've already done a background check.
I would think anybody who's putting in for this job, really, their background check's gonna be clear anyway. I don't think there's a big risk there.
You never know.
That's why you do it, but.
That's-
You never know.
No, please don't.
No, a driving license.
I
can,
would say it
you
also
take-
does cost money to do.
It does.
background checks, so I see your point, like maybe we don't
I
go to contract without that done, but we should probably
Yeah.
narrow the candidate pool for.
I can vet this a little further. My caution with that is the background check isn't something I'm going to discuss in a meeting. You know what I mean? So for me, it's just really part of the closure on the candidate to make sure that we've checked everything in the end. Because there's a tendency that if I'm doing it while you don't use it to determine whether they can be a candidate, but to determine that they cannot be a candidate.
Well, I guess that's probably the point is we don't want to necessarily bring somebody to a public forum and interview them as a potential one of 3 or 4 or 5 final candidates if they're not going to pass background checks.
So what what I can do is I can talk to my colleague who does, because for us, he does it, that's the first thing he does. And I want to know if there is a free analysis one can do to make sure people who they are, people.
This can be worked out also, right, as part of the process. We don't have to.
Yeah.
We don't have to do
We don't have
this.
to do this now.
We can talk about it with
Lock
the
it.
actual committee that's it, and we can make a decision.
Okay.
And in
You're on the committee, so you can,
Mhm.
You can argue all day long.
yeah. I mean, you'll help decide.
Yes, Bob.
I noticed that you put in the salary line from the last.
Yeah.
Was that not in the last?
It was not in the last one. Like I said, the legislation's coming out in October to encourage to actually mandate that you put a salary range, but it's very specific in that it's where you expect to hire is what they're requiring. It's not necessarily demonstrative of the whole entire range you might have for the position, but where you expect to hire is what you're supposed to put in there. That's the language that they have in the statute.
And the statute says you have to put that in the job advertisement.
Yeah, the job posting, when you post the job. Yeah. And it's supposed to equalize, fairness in hiring so that someone knows the range of the job that they're going for, even if they're underpaid in their current position for other various reasons.
Are you advocating to remove it, Rich?
No, I was just curious. I guess I was curious to know why it was added here and if, what the advantage is. I mean, I understand if it's a legal requirement or whatever, but apart from that, is there I don't know, I guess it feels disadvantageous necessarily to sort of post a range of salary because, it changes your negotiation, with the candidates.
That's all. And since it's not required till October, we had this chat too, but I would actually advocate since we don't have to remove it. But
and is it generally assumed that anybody who applies to this position in their job description understands the after hours requirements here? I mean, it's not just 40 hours. You're here.
Yeah, I'm sure that I would like to think that anyone taking this position would expect that they are the general manager of a utility, but I hear you,
Usually it's in the saying you're expected off hour emergencies.
Yeah,
24 hours.
you can add to it. Yeah, if it's not listed.
Yeah, likely in the job description itself.
And like you just got appointed as a commissioner now on the other one.
Mine didn't have that, so I'm not responsible after hours.
that's right.
Just so you know, not just.
It wasn't the contract.
You should have 2 hours.
I think
So, we are.
so, okay, so
I would advocate for striking the sentence, and I thought I heard Rich say it too.
I would too. But I don't know all the consequences of that.
I think a lot of
either,
job
so-
postings do have that now.
yeah, I think everybody is transitioning. to that.
Mass law did it because I think discrimination cases, people saying like, I should have been in this range. I was never hired in that range. You hired this guy at this range, and why didn't I get in that range?
I mean,
So I think that's why Massachusetts.
CM salaries are
But-
public information. The people who are applying for these jobs are gonna know
Oh,
what
right.
their
I guess
competitors
that's
are.
Well, exactly. So that's what the
So-
argument for why.
So why not just post it and say?
they
this
wanna
is what we
record it.
expect to hire? I
Yeah.
don't see any.
I mean,
issue
if the group certainly expects to hire lower than this range, then that's another thing. That's another.
I worry that it pegs us that nobody's going to want less than the top number, which is what
Well-
we've never paid that much.
It's all based on experience and qualifications.
I mean, this is the public meeting, so anybody that's be doing any research is gonna know it now.
Yeah.
Blow it down to 160.
It really is. I think they all know anyway. Literally, I do believe they all know anyway. But I think it's if whether or not you interpret it as that it expresses a willingness of us to pay that, that's a different topic. But I think people know the salaries that are out there. I don't think that's, hidden.
On rereading it, there are 2 minor changes I would propose. And one is an addition where we're saying that they should have all these qualifications, adding after strategic planning, including for,
Sorry, are you looking at the job advertisement or the job description?
I guess I'm looking at the job advertised,
What page are you on?
8143.
Okay.
So, contracting, so the second paragraph from the bottom, adding and strategic planning, including strong, peak power management and efficiency topics or something like that, because it just says, manage the utility, but we really need to keep managing peak load and have that be something we really want somebody to understand what that.
I think that's
Let's be able to talk to Megan about peak power load.
So I would say we just want to keep that's clear in the job functions. It might be a little bit too much for for the advertisement, but I would
Yeah,
agree that it should
Pretty
go.
long ads already.
Well, right, so.
I mean,
I'm
so,
not being a word here, but
so nobody wants to add, you know, I mean, it is the single biggest thing that somebody can do to save us a couple of million a year.
Mhm.
You know, is really take it to the next level.
We are live at any time, any proposed changes on the screen.
Does anybody, if
I'm-
people don't like it,
I'm, o-
forget it.
I'm okay with the phrase as including peak
You know,
management.
including strong peak management, you know, aggressive peak management, just to make sure that we're really thinking about this, right?
I would put strong or aggressive, those are.
Okay.
It's.
I might go peak
That
power
experience.
management, because peak is an
Okay, fine.
adjective, not a. Yeah, okay.
Okay, fine.
Including
Thank
peak
you.
management.
Yeah, if you guys are okay with that.
It's on the screen.
Including
Peak load management, like Jason just said, okay.
Load management.
Load might be better.
Guess either.
Strategic planning, peak load management.
To save words, I would trim the last sentence of the second paragraph, because as I read it, it's like, yeah, it's true, but are they really interacting with utility related organizations at the federal level? What does that even mean? What's a federal utility related organization, and what's a local utility related, or, you know, it's like, yeah. And that it is subject to 164, but it's also just,
EPA, FERC.
Last sentence in the second paragraph.
and then, yes, it's subject to the 164, but it's not the only thing it's subject to. So it seems to go without saying, you know.
So I guess you have utility related organizations would be APPA, NEPA, MEM.
NEP is not federal.
MEM.
Those aren't
But you-
federal government.
No, but
That's
but that's a
FERC.
state, state and local, right? I mean,
Right.
so all, that's why I said
Federal-
APPA is
You
public.
have transmission assets to the
National,
FERC.
then regional.
Yeah, FERC, yeah.
Dark.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, NEPA and APPA both schedule like sessions going down to Washington DC and lobbying with your representatives, so that would be a federal level.
Yeah, you need to
the
keep it.
GM
'cause you-
usually goes to that one.
So, I mean.
Yeah.
if you-
It's okay.
Yeah, I would agree to keep it, and I would also keep the Mass General law. We want somebody who, maybe that's not the only thing it's subject to, but they need to understand that very
Yeah.
well and have plenty of experience.
But it goes back to this thing of like this, the only thing that ever matters is that one.
It doesn't say it is exclusively subject.
Well, then why don't you just add comma and other relevant statutes, you know, or other relevant laws? Because it's that other discussion that we need to go back to.
Or is it just adding the word including chapter 164?
Yeah,
The position is subject to Massachusetts.
To
general law,
laws including that. How about that?
Including chapter 164.
Yes, laws and
Okay, so before chapter 164, including.
You want to be in the contracting committee.
Well, because I mean, like, you gotta follow Massachusetts general procurement laws.
Right.
And then you also gotta do chapter 164, which is how you run a light plant.
right, exactly. And I'd say, well, I don't know what elected officials, the GM is, what elected officials have you interacted with in the past 2 weeks, Mike?
Elected, town manager, assistant town manager.
They're not
Staff,
elected.
You
but,
and me.
you've interacted with us, that you have.
Oh,
done.
the board.
I'm just saying, I don't know how often the GM is actually down there at Beacon Hill interacting.
Brad
Oh, you-
Jones and,
Yeah, I know.
no,
You told me to shut up?
Yeah.
Just go ahead and say it.
Jason,
Okay, fine. I'm shutting up now. I'm done. No, we're good. That's fine.
any other comments or changes on the advertising? Okay, and on the posting?
There was one sentence added by you, Pam. On the job description.
Sorry, yes, the job.
Let me just go back to that really quick. I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. So we are approving this changed ad with all of these marks, including the ones we just did. Oh, sorry. Including the ones we just did. You can. Which is including 164 and then including peak power management. We're
Yes.
keeping the salary range as of now.
Yeah, in spite of promising Bob, I would shut up. You know, we don't mention the possibility of bonuses, and I know we have paid bonuses in the past and we've done them every year, I think. And I think it will be part of the compensation. So do we want to, when we're saying salaries, do we want to make a range? And then it could include bonuses for meeting exceptional goals or something.
That's too much detail for this. This is salary expected range. How that's formatted,
Mhm.
it could be 225 and then the difference in bonuses with probably an upper limit expectation that if they do a really good job, they might get to the 275 number, 274, 995.
Kind of more what I'm thinking.
But to me, that's, I think you'd put that into the contracts discussion. So
That makes sense.
yeah, this is just a gross range of where your compensation would fall. It's not,
Then you want to change salary to
It's a
compensation?
salary range, not total compensation.
Yeah, maybe we could say count compensation.
Expect-
Yeah.
Compensation.
Compensation's a better term because,
There we go.
yeah, good
All right,
point.
so expected compensation for this position is,
Yeah.
instead of hiring salary, say the expected compensation.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
good.
the
Okay.
only thing is, if
That
you
way you can-
include benefits and things like that, it's well over 275.
The compensation
No.
package can be a lot of.
Plus, and just say plus
That's my
benefits.
point, all of that stuff is comprehensive benefits, so. it-
No,
Yeah.
I think, well, comprehensive benefit to me is your pension, your healthcare.
And all of that right, is gonna be well over 275.
Sure.
That's my point,
So,
is if we say the
Financial.
expected compensation range, that's not.
Yeah.
A reasonable.
well, what's the way to do this that gets at?
It's the expected base salary range.
It says,
They say
the second sentence, the RMLD.
Yeah, what if you add, what Mike said, what if we just add plus benefits?
Well, offers
It says, yeah,
bonus.
it says offers
May
a
not pay,
comprehensive
we had a
benefit.
bad year.
Yeah.
Not gonna give me a
Yeah.
bonus.
So it is
benefits are in there.
It's in there.
So then if you
Okay.
say, if you use compensation as plus RMLD offers comprehensive benefit package, well, that covers the,
It's base, 225 to 275 was intended to be the base salary range,
Salary. That's all the.
not the
I'll
total
include it as
compensation.
hired.
Susan should clarify.
You're not saying total.
Yeah, it's the,
I'd keep the salary myself.
Yeah.
Because I think
well-
you're gonna have those discussions and you're gonna be able to say what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to
comprehensive
do.
benefit package is vague. It can cover a lot of things.
Go back to salary.
It's negotiable.
Feel it.
Yeah,
I would just go back to what it was.
salary is negotiable.
I guess my point on this is that salary, some people call it salary inflation. Salary pressure goes up and it goes up fast and you can't claw it back. You can't get it back. And so anything to be conservative at the front end is helpful. Otherwise, as soon as you have the top executive makes this much, then everybody else makes, the curve goes up and it goes up really fast. And we want to compensate good people. And, this isn't about that. It's just about making sure that the pace of that upward pressure is manageable. That's kind of my fear and my point in the
So for
salary
the
discussion.
sake of the opening position, do you want to change it to 200 to 250? And then there's your entrance. Is that what you want to do?
or 225 to 250, because I know you're gonna say there's people that already make more than 200.
Can I share just a little bit of data, just to
Yeah.
say, so there were four out of the group of 13 that was sort of in and around our range and size and possible likenesses. There were 4 under 250, above 225. There were 5 in the range of 250 to 256, and there were 4 266 to 277. So
But 1 second there though, because we gotta, if we're gonna start using comps, first of all, a lot of those people might have been there 10 to 20 years. Some of those are doing multiple lines of business, including broadband, gas. And so they're,
That one's out.
only
That
one.
one's out.
okay,
That one
well,
was
only
not.
Took
one,
that
but-
out.
That was.
we
not-
we took that out. We didn't count that
okay,
one.
but
Yep.
I'm just saying, just putting those numbers out there, it kind of goes to Rich's point of we're all like racing to the top here. And so.
Yeah, I'm not
that's
I'm
my
not
concern.
leaving out anything. I'm just telling you what's there. It's the data that anyone can.
Are those people with some experience? Is it entry level?
This is
For GM or
I don't know who those people are, and so
just
I think
existing
it's-
salaries?
I mean,
across?
Right, all we
Just
know
the
is.
business that are similar. So there's 40,
So the largest, second largest.
We're not the largest when we're running one business, not three. So
And
that's.
we're leaving that one out.
There's
leaving that one
there's
out. That one
11
is a completely
MLPs
different-
that do broadband, and there's a whole bunch that do gas. So there's not only one, there's a lot. So I'm just saying,
There really isn't, just in terms of the data here, just there isn't any entries on those gas, water, or telecom lines for any, maybe one or two have a water and a telecom. Everything else is blank, just
people
like
have been
us.
there a
I
long
think
time.
this point, this is, you're
Mm-hmm.
supposed to put in what do you think that you will land at in terms of
Mhm.
expected salary range? I think based on the data that we just heard, that is a very reasonable expected salary range. Does it have to be where we land if we're finding somebody who's at a different
Why don't we,
experience level? Let me finish. We do not have to offer that exact number, but we're trying to give our best guess of where we will land from a salary perspective. And if we use market information, that is likely where we would land.
why even give a range that's 50,000? Why not just say the expected salary for the position is 250? Because that's dead center, and obviously it could be higher, could be a little bit lower. But the potential salary for this position is 250.
Typically, it's the range.
Yeah,
Anytime you have a
I
job
always-
posting, it's a range.
Every posting I see now is a range.
Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah,
take into
and-
consideration the
That-
varying levels of
should-
experience.
I mean,
220 to 260 would shave a little conservatism there.
It would put a little bit of conservatism there. I've said my piece, and so
Well,
I,
is that, how about
I-
220 to 260?
There you go.
Thank you.
I know it's shaving.
It's shaving pennies.
You're gonna hire the person you want for the
Yeah.
price, they won't
Yeah.
come or they're not.
I mean, you're also selling writing to potential candidates, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you gotta look at it both ways, you know. You might, I mean, you gotta make sure it's
Competitive.
competitive, and that you bring out the best candidates.
What was the proposal on the table? 220 to 260?
I heard a median of 250 and plus or minus 25 puts us right in that range, so plus or minus 10%. I'm happy with the numbers presented.
I'm fine with them.
Leave it.
All right, we're leaving it. Okay, so job description, moving on.
Yep.
That was the job posting. You said there was a,
Just the one sentence at the end of the job summary paragraph, Pam, you had asked for something that would reiterate the mission.
Yep.
And I just tweaked the sentence that was there a little, while ensuring the organization is focused on delivering reliable, low cost, increasingly non-carbon energy to its electric customers.
the other piece that I would like to add is around the experience. So we, in the job advertisement, we reference having senior leadership experience, but we don't do that in the experience section of the job description. You
Yeah,
just say like
number of
10 years of
years.
any facet, but we should probably say like increasingly, increasing leadership experience, or I'll have to go back and look
Yeah,
at
to
it.
progressively.
Thank you. That's exactly progressive leadership experience.
Apologies, where do you want that to go?
Underneath the experience bucket where we have 10 years of all of these different things, we need to specify that there should be
Page 2 of 3.
progressive leadership experience.
Thank you.
How about the fourth one, 10 years of experience in progressive leadership and project management?
And the last one.
Also, the special requirements at the last, it's a valid, it should say valid driver's license. Not necessarily a mass.
Yeah.
So I think as long as you have a valid driver's license, you're okay.
One more time, so.
It doesn't have to be Massachusetts. like-
It should say valid driver's license. And it doesn't have to be in Mass, it could be New Hampshire.
No,
No, it's
that's
valid.
That's
in
the
Mass.
reason we reworded it like it is, so that it doesn't have to be Mass, because just that it's, as long, whatever license you have, as long as it's valid for you to drive in Mass. That's what that says.
Valid in Massachusetts, not a valid mass license.
Yeah, it doesn't say valid Massachusetts license, it just says valid in Mass, so whatever you have has to be, let you drive here.
That's the craziest wording. That's like a lawyer.
It was a lawyer.
Valid driver's license. I would, that's confusing.
All right.
That could be an international license also.
There's no such thing as a national license. You get one
Okay.
issued per the state, right? Per
No,
per
but
state.
you get international driving licenses also.
You don't actually get one. I've driven in Europe and you don't really get a license.
You
You
can
No, but
you
you
get a
can't,
car.
if you're
you
from
can
a
get
different
actually,
country,
you can get an
one here.
international driver's
Yeah.
permit, but all right. You know, it's a debate.
But I don't know who made the point about additional hours, representing RMLD at, in conferences, off-hour meeting, off-site meetings. I think that if you are gonna,
That's general management.
the general manager represents RMLD at off-site, off-hour meetings, however you wanted to say that. I think that would be something good, and that is an essential job function.
Yeah.
Extolling RMLD mission to local governments, third parties, however you want to say it, but expectation is to represent RMLD in off-hour times.
Do you want this as a separate number, or do you want to somehow incorporate it into number 4? With that, interfacing situation.
I think your point is around like, there's evenings and other, commitments.
Maybe
which
that's
is-
it, expected evening work is, off-hour, time commitments are expected from the general manager.
You could go in 6 also, feels like a little clause.
Yeah, I would make it a separate number and just to specify it's like
You would.
it's a schedule thing
Yeah.
in addition to it.
I think you should make it general off hours, because it's not just gonna be meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We have
general manager
one.
expects the rep-
Yeah,
No.
Responsibilities.
our responsibilities are required by the general manager.
General hours, including storm.
I would just say responsibilities.
Recording stopped.
Done. Good, let's go. At that time.
Okay. all right. So, I think we're good. Any other comments on the job description?
No, I think that's fine.
Great. So we have our
Also-
committee report.
Recording in progress.
And the plan was to put the advertisement out Monday.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we just do this? We can just send the subcommittee for the search, the final posting over email.
So I think you guys, either committee or you as a board, need to vote to approve this posting and direct HR to post it. I think we have to make that. Susan, we direct.
Oh, we don't have that as a motion in that.
Oh, we can do that, okay.
We just said we had to verbally agree, not that we had to vote.
Well, we just. It's a job posting, so it's done. We agreed to it and posted. Love it.
Yeah.
The way you need to vote.
Oh, I said BOC votes to approve the JD, but I didn't give you the suggested motion. Vote to approve the advertisement and direct the director of HR to post advertisement to the agreed upon channels. Because we also have channels here.
Motion as stated by Erica.
So moved.
Great,
So moved.
perfect. So
Second.
Second.
All those in favor? Yeah, thank you.
for both the ad and job description and to direct Susan to post it.
Yes.
And we'll put it on the website, and HR Jazz puts it out to some job boards, including LinkedIn, et cetera. And we'll do NEPA and APPA.
Great.
Perfect.
Okay. Thank you all for.
Is there
listening.
anyone else that is, just to make sure I got it right, we have the full committees that we need. We didn't need anyone else appointed to those committees.
What you can do is, I think you guys decided to not appoint anyone else. However, if you're in the committee and the committee decides they want to add a couple people, that's totally fine as well.
Okay.
And then just to be clear as well, resumes, application packets, all that are just going to the committee, not anyone else.
Yes.
And I'm gonna be part of the, just as a
non-voting member, but.
Yep,
yes.
non-voting member to the committee
Search.
that reviews the candidates, but not to the, or do you want me at the contract meetings too? It doesn't matter to me, but just
Why
let
don't
me.
you guys decide who else you might need? The contract subcommittee can decide if they want anybody else.
So you envision being at all of these committee meetings?
No, I'm just envisioning doing whatever you want me to
Oh,
do.
yeah.
Is that the right answer?
What you meant by being part of
Sorry,
the
to be
committee.
clear,
Careful what you.
search committee is, Susan will reach out to you guys to schedule the meetings, and she'll do basically what Erin and I do, posting, drafting, that stuff. So she'll basically be doing that admin work for that committee. The contract committee could go whatever way you guys think is best.
Would
Let you guys
Sounds
decide that in your
dangerous,
first
but-
meeting. Yeah. Okay, scheduling. Okay, so August 27th will be our next regular session. Do we want to do an executive session? You said you need by the 12th, so that would put us at August 6th. If we're gonna do a Wednesday. You have the whole week.
What is it?
No, just that I could do the 7th, but I couldn't, I could do the 5th or the 7th. I can't do the 6th
August?
of August.
Oh, yeah, I'm out that whole week. My son's getting married tonight.
What's on this 12th for?
Is it possible to do like a Teams one? Probably only take like 15-20 minutes.
I'm gonna be in Vermont all week.
Can we have will we have a quorum on the 5th if we did the 5th? Is anybody else out for the 5th?
What's this for?
This is an executive session for update on union negotiations.
Whatever.
We don't need the cab for that one.
No, good.
I can do the 5th.
I can do the 5th.
Rich?
Just a second checking. Yeah, I can do the 5th.
Do the 5th for a virtual executive session.
You guys with, time 6, 5.
6. Okay. Yes,
That's virtual, right?
virtual, yeah.
Oh, sorry, does that work for you? Susan?
Yeah. Why, I haven't booked a thing for the next 3 months.
Okay. And can we just get meeting invites out for all of these? Just and dive by the calendar. Okay. Any other questions or concerns on any of the upcoming meetings?
It's the Thursday, November 14th, I don't think is correct. Right, and I can't do, I couldn't do it Thursday.
That would be November 13th,
And
Thursday.
I couldn't do it Thursday.
So was there a reason we couldn't do a Wednesday? Was that like a conflict with a town meeting or something? Even then,
There must have been a reason.
November 14th, I think that's it. November 14th is. Yeah, so it'd be the 13th, but it's not, well,
The 12th,
We can plan for the, oh, well, there was a Killam School Building Committee meeting, maybe that was why.
unless Ray wants to go to that.
Hey, threw me out.
All right, then bye. We're all in. The 12th.
It's up to you guys now. I try to,
Ray, we want you at our meeting.
all right.
Okay, so Wednesday, November 12th, and that's just a potential additional budget meeting if we don't get through it.
Is it the 13th or the 12th?
the 12th.
This is what this is for the 14th.
Yeah, but that's wrong. That's wrong.
No,
It's
we're
the
gonna do
Wednesday.
Wednesday, November 12th.
Nice.
I think it's just, you just plan for it like last time we did the budget in 2 things, and this time also just plan for it. So it's not potential, it's just,
On the calendar and canceled if not needed.
Is the 19th happening? November 19th, if we're doing the 12th?
So 19th is the definite date, 12th is the potential date in case we need 2 dates to get the budget done.
Oh, all right, okay.
We could swap that though. The 12th could be the actual meeting and the 19th could be the extra additional since it's after.
All right, so I gotta save the time either way.
Yeah, either way.
Do we need to
We'll be done before then.
do any warrant schedule stuff?
No pressure.
Warren, this August is gonna be Dave doing AP and Rich doing food.
Yeah, just think, can we just maybe for next time. Just
Oh, sorry, the
Give it
rest,
through
yeah,
the
we
rest
can
of the year.
definitely, I have the actual full schedule.
All right. Excellent. Okay.
John,
Adjourn.
motion,
Move that the RMLD Citizens Advisory Board adjourn regular session.
Second.
all in favor,
Too small.
And vote aye.
Vivek Tony, aye.
Move that the Board of Commissioners adjourn regular session. Ray Porter, and roll call required.
Yeah.
Ray Porter, aye.
Rich Swanson, I.
Bob Boulder, aye.
Yeah. Aye. Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's gonna be this camera weather.